They never found the body, and I don't think anyone expected that. Oh shit, the light's on again.
Yeah, no, I mean, who is going to find it, right? I mean, it's just us here.
True.
And we can't find it.
I kind of assume one of us ate it.
Maybe. It's been a while, but I would like to think I remember that, but then I don't actually remember how long we've been here.
Yeah, no, me neither. I mean, we're down to the two of us. We lost White in the...
Are you winning, son?
What the fuck? Did I just summon you like a fucking Bloody Mary?
Yes.
Oh. Well,
I'm back, and I've seen the sun.
How are you alive? Wouldn't that fray you at this point?
I don't know. But what I saw was it wasn't ours. It was a legally distinct, unique sun with its own style. And totally isn't a copycat, I swear.
Wait. There's a counterfeit sun in the sky.
Yes.
Alright, fantastic. Well.
Those are libel claims of counterfeit. How dare you? No. So
That's going to be a thing. I'm realizing this right now as you're saying it. The way that corporations sort of work. If you want to go full sci-fi buying planets and shit,
Yeah.
they're going to get annoyed at each other for naming the planets the same thing, and they're going to be lawsuits about it.
Yeah.
If we ever make it to that point in human history.
this cannot be called Bernard's sun. I've already claimed that
You
name.
cannot refer to this as a sun because the Star of Soul is referred to as the sun legally. I have a patent.
The level of Wayland Yutani style history that we could get into with
Oh,
regards
God.
to that.
Fucking a whole corporate war over the naming of a sun. Peak 80s sci-fi.
I could believe it.
Well,
Hello.
hello again. And hello, White. It's good to see you again.
It is good to be back
You
from the recursive hell that was the far end of the container.
You're looking fresh. You got your legs back, I see.
They just seem to appear every night. I go to sleep and I recover all my broken limbs. Yeah, I don't know how this works.
You're like a hollowed. You just come back whenever you die.
That's how I feel sometimes.
We all do. We all do.
Wake up looking fresh, hun. Look at the mirror and you're just a hollow. It's like a Dark Souls 1, just like entire streaky bacon man.
So, I wanted to talk to the both of you about the hit new video game, and rather the discourse surrounding it, which is, as everyone and their dog is fucking talking about it, fucking Palworld.
Yeah, that sure is a game. I've seen things from that game. I've seen a lot of third-party drawings of that game.
They invited it, okay?
Just that one that's a cloud that's also being just... Yeah, that one. That's
Oh.
a lot.
Oh no.
Little fanboy cloud.
Stop it.
I thought Fanboy Cloud was being made in the Final Fantasy VII reboot.
Correct.
All right.
Well done. But this is a legally distinct version.
I
Just to
see.
continue forcing this metaphor like taking blood from a fucking stone.
Squeeze it harder and then more will drip out.
Yes!
Well, I was going to say, this game has to be great if you've given up your freedom to talk about it with us.
I don't think I was ever free, to be honest.
A part of us never leaves the container, usually our legs. But
Holy shit, is that a copy of Hooligans for the PC?
yes, that is Hooligans for the PC.
What the fuck?
Not doing that.
I have an intent of just maybe cracking that open if I ever need a panic. Fuck, I need to review a dumb RTS game. So I bought it once from like a car boot sale, I think.
Should totally have a cold open where it's just you playing that and then being like, oh shit, so talking about Dawn of War 3.
Yeah. Just open the Dawn of War 3 video with that. That'd be good.
Like,
Ugh.
I don't know if this is a me thing, and I'm sorry to immediately tangent. Does anyone else, when they go into a room, especially if it's, oh, this is my friend's sort of like, room and this is all their stuff, do they also imagine what the reaction would be if this was the only thing that was left, like Tutankhamun's fucking tomb? Like, I'm imagining this room being broken into like 3,000 years in the future. Everything in here is almost pristine, and I'm trying to think about what the takeaway is about humanity if this is all left.
It's a very good point.
I don't know if I'm weird for thinking that, but whenever I go into someone else's house that isn't mine, that is what I think about.
That's a fair point, though, because someone's room can say a lot about them. Because not everyone wears their identity on their walls. Some people don't even wear it on their sleeves. But it's an interesting thing to think about as well, because I think in terms of my bedroom, or whatever it was before it's left, it might be perfectly preserved since I came in here.
Yeah.
It'd probably make archaeologists believe that we used to revere a lot of animals. We had a weird obsession with gigantic black monoliths sort of like standing around our rooms, that being, televisions and fucking games consoles.
I mean, honestly, considering the amount of information I managed to squeeze out of tiny bits of writing, if they found an intact computer, like, and keeping the idea that, like, archaeological capabilities have not decreased in, like, 1,000 years, they would go fucking bananas. Like, oh yeah, look at this data we can mine. Oh, we can find out exactly what kind of groceries they buy. See, I didn't say what you were thinking I was going to say.
I sincerely hope, for all of humanity's sake, that if archaeologists discover our civilization, they don't find the internet very early on.
Oh yeah.
You know, they don't find what was the remnants of some Kuma's computer and just be like, this is what all humanity was about.
There are 3 things that should never be shown on the internet: future archaeologists, super intelligent AI, and your nan. All of those should never see the net.
No, never.
Sorry, after very briefly tangenting, have any of y'all played the game?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the game? Because I've looked at it and I'm like,
Strictly as a standalone experience,
Yeah.
and this is detaching any opinions I have about its nature,
Yeah.
which I will go into later.
Yeah.
But strictly as a survival crafter with creatures you can collect, it's good.
Yeah.
Someone, I forget who did it, but someone described it as you will play it and you will feel like you are playing a specially crafted for a specific market product.
Right.
You will feel like a mark and you will be happy.
Whoa.
All right,
okay.
Amazon, calm down.
and it's like, fuck, they're right though. Like,
Right.
the exploration is good. I'm driven to want to explore more, which I find very difficult in open world games. I tend to like hunker down in one place and build like I've been playing another game recently which also got hit with, it's a tangent to more legally distinct things. I've forgotten its name now, but it's basically a Half-Life 1 survival game.
Okay.
I think it's something called like Entropic Factor. I'll have to look it up.
Oh, wait, is this... Oh, fuck. No, I know which one you're talking about now. I can't remember its name either.
I'll look. I'll ask the Oracle for it later.
Yeah.
But for the time being, normally when I play these survival crafter games, I tend to like find a nice quiet corner,
Yeah.
like in the case of, I don't know, like Rust or whatever, I'd find like a nice tucked in corner of a mountain or something and sort of build my shit shack there. Whereas in this, I'm far more encouraged to just take my guys and go explore. One of the mechanics it has that I quite like is dotted around the world are random collectibles that are required to raise your ability to catch things.
Right.
Which just inherently says you need to explore if you want even a slightest chance of being able to capture the higher level things. Because even though the higher level stuff, at that point you have higher level PAL spheres.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Go on.
Even though at that point you have higher level ones, if you don't level up your capture capability, it still feels like you're throwing like 1% at them. It is steeped in a South Park tier humor, though. The whole, what if you force them into slavery? Ooh!
Yeah.
Or, what if you captured a person? What happens then?
Yeah.
It's very...
It's one of those cases where I don't think I've ever seen a game that was less made for me. Because I'm someone that has never played a Pokemon game, and nor...
What?
Really?
Yeah, no, never. Not one.
You
Fucking
struck
hell,
me as
first-
the kind of person who absolutely would have done.
First, you don't know about the alt fire on fucking miniguns on fucking Time Crisis. Time Splitters, fucking hell. And now you don't play Pokemon?
No.
You fucking embarrassment.
I listen. I didn't have portable Nintendo consoles. The first one I ever got was a DS, and it wasn't mine. It belonged to my parents because they wanted brain training and Professor Layton, I guess. And I would just borrow games from the library and play them on that instead. And I was a kid with a PSP, you know. I lived that life. I was one of those the PSP is one of those consoles that apparently sold really well, but nobody has, right?
Oh yeah.
Like barely anyone talks about it or knows much about it.
It's big in Japan, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a big thing in Japan, and I think Japan carried the Vita as well, which obviously crashed and burned. But like, no. To be fair though, because of the internet, because of cultural osmosis,
Yeah.
if whatever fucking macabre forces in this container said, "All right, listen, you will be able to be released from here if you can name 150 Pokemon," I could probably still do it. Because it's talked about so much. People that follow on the internet, let's play it, and all this kind of stuff, that I probably could do that.
Yeah.
Never touched it, never played it. I know how it is, I know what it's like. That's never been the kind of game for me.
Okay.
Another type of game that isn't for me is open world survival crafting games.
Yeah.
And honestly, listen, I I was a child. I watched Smosh. I watched them do their "What if Pokemon had gun?" I watched Brawl Taunts.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I will say that I think the entire concept of Pokemon, but they are in a grittier world where they have to kill each other and things are hyper realistic, kind of lost its luster around about 2001.
Yeah,
which I wouldn't have even been old enough to remember. So I don't know why I'm acting all elitist about it. But this is the thing I want to get onto with Palworld is that I'm kind of happy that it's succeeding though. Like I don't mind it. I'm glad that it has a niche and that it's working for people because in many ways, like as much as I rag on the idea of Pokemon but gritty or Pokemon but edgy or Pokemon but they vomit on each other, like as much as I don't find that funny, I don't mind it when these kinds of humors have a resurgence, right?
Right.
Because I mean, it's the same case. Like people like say Flash Gits have got very kind of edgy humor.
Right.
Obviously, it's very much like shock value stuff like that, and they went from doing Warhammer stuff to then making racist Mario that propelled them into doing basically anything they wanted.
Yeah.
And then they went back to doing that Warhammer stuff again when that was falling off. The humor is still very juvenile, and it's very much like, what if furries were cringe and you were a based space marine and you had to fight them?
What do you mean, what if?
Yeah, I kind of agree on the topic of Flash Gits. As much as I enjoyed some of their earlier stuff, as I've grown older, it's very much like wow, this humor hasn't aged well.
Well, I want to say about that because my favorite thing of theirs they ever made was a video called Super Future, which was a legally distinct Warhammer parody IP that had a bunch of big space marines and like it was in like a post-apocalypse and that sort of thing. And it was my favorite thing that they made. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny, and I wanted them to make more like it. And they're doing that now. They're not doing Super Future. They're doing a different
Space Dad, isn't it?
Yeah, Space Dad, and it's a similar idea of like, okay, this isn't Warhammer, but we're doing our own legally distinct thing. And I'm glad. I'm really glad because I do find them funny. I fucking love their Halo video. I think their Destiny one was funny. I don't know. I'm happy that Palworld's doing well, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
Yeah. It's definitely not finished, and I will say that as the biggest caveat on this plate of mixed shit and caviar. It is definitely... Did you just bite through the wrapper?
I really hope I didn't.
You did.
Did I?
Yeah. My God.
I've been trying to feed off of these fucking like 200-year-old caramel wafer bars that came from the fucking Victorian era.
Fucking bit straight through the fucking wrapper, my dude. I mean, it's just paper. It's not gonna hurt you.
I know it's not, but it could... Yeah.
It's too late. He's already swallowed it. He's already eaten the pack.
It's gone. I just turn and see like right through the fucking packaging. Like, what the fuck, man?
Sorry.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jesus
I
Christ.
didn't know you were that hungry. God damn.
We have been in here for an undetermined amount of time.
We've been eating my replaceable limbs.
And the last time I ate was probably the last time my heart beat. And that's longer than you think.
But yes, so...
Oh god, yeah, no, that's cool. Sorry, I just
Sorry?
I just had no idea that was not the kind of game for you. I just find that really fascinating, considering what I know of you as a person. I think like your crippling Fire Emblem addiction and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, you know.
Listen, RPGs are a genre I tend to like in spite of their tropes.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of times where I get genuinely frustrated at how RPGs are this genre that have these incredible stories baked into them and that kind of thing, and they're generally considered like the main way of having a game that has these big sprawling long-winded stories. But I'm always like, but why do these have to be attached to these specific set of mechanics?
Right.
I've never understood it myself, and I guess we're kind of seeing it now, but that's because RPG elements like leveling up and shit are being put into games. Like that's the way that you lengthen things out. But
also just the sheer length of RPG games have always lended themselves to big, long narratives.
Yeah.
If you master the gameplay of a game without having any sort of progression systems intrinsic to the game itself, having a big, long narrative is just going to bore you because you won't be feeling any new experiences. You'll either be getting slog fights that are too difficult to beat or too easy to challenge you. You get that issue a lot with Ubisoft games. I fucking love Far Cry 5 and that. As much as I don't like how that sort of setting has turned from my fucking beloved Far Cry 2, picture of me stroking the box art like maybe one day.
Yeah.
But it's just, you get to like the 10 hours in mark and you're just like, yeah, it's more of the same.
It's interesting that you said about Palworld that you feel a bit like a mark. Like, this has been tailored to do that to you. And you can, like, explore those things. That is how I felt with I know this is a very cliche and old criticism of Ubisoft by now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, definitely felt that way about Ubisoft games. Where it's just like, but I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed, so for all of its criticisms, Far Cry 4, I still really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed a bunch of different stuff. I mean, granted, everything's more fun with friends, right? So even things like Ghost Recon Wildlands and stuff like that.
That is kind of a fun one.
Yeah, but it's one of those ones where I felt I am just being led along, but at the time, I was working a full-time job, and I wanted to zone out and do little achievements in a game. And
dick around with my friends killing cocaine cops.
Yeah, but like, I find that's the niche for Ubisoft games, at least in my heart, is very much, I want small progression goals over the course of, because I used to love achievement hunting and shit. Like, yeah, that would really work out. But I can understand in certain games it does come across as like cynical or like cynically motivated.
You would probably really enjoy the progression path in Palworld.
Okay.
It is very much like leveling up unlocks new base facilities. Leveling up your base requires you to build said base facilities.
I didn't realize you had like a base in it.
Yeah, it's a full, like, you build a little. You get raided occasionally and have to defend it from, like, wild pals or...
How many Metal Gear Solid references are there in the base?
Enough.
And good.
The best answer.
You have constructed outer heaven with your Pokemon.
I mean, one of the Pokemon... Oh, sorry, not Pokemon. Pals. Legally distinct.
The Palcomons.
This should just be called the Legally Distinct episode. But yeah, one of the pals I've gotten... I was like, oh, cool, what's his ability? Oh, I can ride it. Cool. Access to rapid-fire rocket launcher while riding. What? So I climb onto this fucking Dipsy the dinosaur-looking fucking idiot, get on its back, and suddenly, like, sprouting from its shoulders are 2 fucking missile pods, Metal Gear style. And I'm like, oh, I don't have a missile launcher. It does. I can just point the direction it fires.
Oh, very good.
What the fuck? One of the really early on ones as well, you can unlock the ability for it to sit on your head with a little machine gun. Like, it'll just sit on your head with a little machine pistol and shoot at targets around you. And it's actually... As much as I want to say I'm not the kind of person who would buy into Pokemon with guns, I kind of love what they're doing with this setting and, like, the explanation. It feels like they want to have a bigger lore around it and a bigger, like, narrative. There's some implications this is like a post-apocalyptic thing, because ancient society artifacts keep showing up, which are like bits of our current world. Like, the icon I've got for it is like a spark plug, but the implication is like, oh, these pals diverged from humanity. These are a separate human-adjacent species. What the fuck?
So they're like a sentient species that's developed their own... They're at a similar level of consciousness, and they got to...
One of the ones, the one I was talking about earlier, the little gun in your head, is described as having the intelligence of a 6 to 9 year old. Which is terrifying.
You know what was that's reminded me of a fucking big missed opportunity? Spore, right?
Yeah.
When you get to the civilization stage, every civilization on the planet is your species. Before that, they're all the weird other creatures that have been made in the creature creator. So even tribal stage, sometimes there will be other tribes that are of the different creatures. The fuck happens to them?
You know what happens to them.
I don't like that look.
Good.
Yeah, no.
Why do you think you had to go to the stars? You ran out of food.
God. Oh, fucking hell, Spore. Now I just want Spore with guns. Oh, wait, that's
Dark Spore coming right at you.
They had Spore Galactic Adventures, but that wasn't particularly good, because Spore Galactic Adventures pretty much just took the creature combat and put it in space, which is...
already the weakest part of the entire game.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it was... I mean, the creature creator and the early stages of that game really carried it.
It's funny because the space stage is like probably the most complicated, but it's the one that's looked upon the least fondly, I think. Other than maybe the Tribal Civ for being RTSs, but it's more the fact that the creature stage is like MMO combat, and I don't like MMO combat. I really don't like waiting on cooldowns and shit. But yeah, no, I didn't know that about Palworld, that they had like actual lore behind these things.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I mean, some of it is a bit cringy. Like, there's a very obviously sexualized Pokemon. Sorry, Pal. There's very obviously a sexualized Pal.
There's also Pokemons like that.
Yeah. But these ones are like deliberately in the game. They state like, oh yeah, this thing tries to mate with basically everything and will target humans. And it's like, that's kind of fucked.
What is actually the age rating for Palworld? Out of curiosity, is it like 15?
I think it might actually be older than that because it has depictions of slavery.
Okay.
Which I think falls underneath the 18 rating.
It's
been ages since
I don't know what the ESRB is like these days.
I will ask the Oracle.
Yeah, it depends on country a lot of the time because
It's fucking Peggy 12? How is it Peggy 12?
for the same reason Fortnite is, I can only assume.
Oh my god.
But that's another game that fucking pushes it, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Whenever they add fucking Nicki Minaj yanking it or whatever. Isn't she Call of Duty? I don't fucking know. But like they do a bunch of shit in that. And it's like, how are you remaining a 12 on this? But,
yeah.
That was the most old man yells at Cloud. Like, hey, it's just Nicki Minaj. It's my Fortnite. Maybe it's the Call of Duties. I don't remember.
I mean, all I remember from Fortnite is when they did the Martin Luther King event, and they were like, "We're going to solemnly put up big displays, reading out his speech," and there's just all these videos people like dancing in front of it, or like making walls, and it's just like, what the fuck? Why did you think this was a good idea?
I mean, it probably reached the kids. That's the thing, is that it probably had a net positive.
True.
But it's fucking bizarre to think about. Yeah, I always found that weird. Or like how the entire plot of Star Wars Episode 9 got announced through Fortnite as well.
Oh yeah, fucking Palpatine's return speech was in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Fuck me. We live in a garbage world.
We live in a society.
we live in one of them there societies.
Yeah.
While I was looking at the Oracle for the age rating of
Okay.
this game, I also remembered the other game. Abiotic Factor.
Abiotic Factor, yes. Okay, I know the one you're talking about.
So way back at the beginning of its development, it looked just like Half-Life 1. The early screenshots looked like they were making a Half-Life 1 mod. And it had some uniqueness, like so the enemies were legally distinct, but now they are even more legally distinct. Because apparently Valve turned around and went like, could you maybe not?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a DMCA, you shut your project down, we're coming to get you. It's like, can you maybe tweak it a little bit more, please? Or at least that's what I've heard. I don't know if that's the real case. But what they've come up with now is very much like, you know it's Half-Life 1, but it's distinct enough that you could show someone who's never seen it, maybe played like, I don't know, Resident Evil, and be like, oh, it's like the labs at the end of Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
It's distinct enough. It's like, oh, this is evil laboratory environment. I can understand that.
Well, there does come a point where you get to a Resident Evil game and you're like, okay, at some point these have to have these fucking weird structures where it always has to have the lab at the end and all that kind of thing. And you always have to shoot something with a big red rocket.
Akira train. Put me on the big fucking diagonal elevator.
I'm still a big fan of RE2. I think that's still my favorite one for some reason. But
So I just wanted to, with regards to Palworld and your experience with actually playing it, do you think this is going to be a long-term playthrough, or is this something that is hot right now and then you're going to ditch it and not come back to it? Or because the reason I ask is because survival, open world survival games go into one of two categories for me if I end up playing them. They are the touch it again, or they become this thing where every 2 years I dip my toes back in for a couple months and I just have, and it's a new save, and I tend never to finish it, or maybe I do one playthrough finishes it, but it's like it becomes a comfort game or it becomes trash. Not in a negative like, oh, this was bad. It just becomes, that was really nice fast food I just had. I finished it now.
Package goes in the bin.
Yeah.
Honestly, that is a fucking tough question. I want to say, considering how much I've played of it, how much I've not explored yet.
Yeah.
I've got a lot more to do, and I feel like there's a lot more I want to explore. And if they continue expanding it the way they seem to be promising, I could come back to it quite often.
Okay.
It has the same vibes as Ark, the dinosaur game, which is basically the same game.
Yeah.
So it feels like one of those ones where I could keep coming back to it and being like, yeah, I could play a bit more. I could get some friends wrangled in and play it. Like, sometimes I go back to playing fucking, not Dead by Daylight, the fucking zombie one, 7 Days to Die.
yeah.
I sometimes play that with some friends from our work chat and just dick around fighting zombies with sticks.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those for games where it's just like, yeah, this is enjoyable.
Yeah.
But you say that there are quite a few games where I won't go back to them now because what is there to experience again, you know? Like
yeah, there can be that.
I hate to say it, but like Subnautica. I love the base Subnautica, actually. I feel like that I could probably do a playthrough of. But Subnautica's sequel, Below Zero, One playthrough and I'm done. It was very short, and I don't feel there's much reason to go back to it.
That's interesting to me, because Subnautica is one of those ones that so I haven't played it for full transparency. Whenever I look at it, it looks like a very, very pretty game and the kind of game that I would like to zone out in. And when Below Zero came out and I saw these, I mean, you put snow and ice in a game and that will just make me more interested in it. But that game really looked great. But it's interesting that...
Oh, it's definitely a good game. I'd recommend picking it up if you have a chance.
Yeah, I believe I own the base game. I just get Below Zero. But it's interesting that that's not one that you'd return to. Are there any others, like, good examples of, like I just said, like, kind of... set in, forget it. I played it, now it's gone. But in the open world, like...
Oh, God. I'd have to actually look at my, like, history.
I mean, Thunder, you're getting asked this question soon.
Yeah.
Load an answer.
I'm thinking about it.
There's so many forgettable games, but because of the virtue of them being forgettable, I've forgotten them.
Yes, of course.
So, it's like, oh, God, what... on the basis that it was an early access build, and therefore it's not done yet, I guess I could say a couple of the games I've covered. Like Xenonauts 2, I haven't touched that since my video on it. I'm kind of waiting for them to, finish it, because it's very obviously not done. There's also Supplies, that I want more of it, but I'm also waiting on it to be done, so I don't want to hit a wall again and be like, okay, I guess I wait another year for the next chapter.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, Fallout 4 is a big one. It's just because that was a survival open world game, if you wanted it to be.
I keep coming back to it, though. And I hate it every time I do.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that you remember the core memories of, I really enjoyed this, let's boot it up and have some more memories. You re-download the game, re-download all the mods, reinitialize all of them, if you did in fact use any, play through the mandatory stuff, and by then I tend to find that I have spent more time than I wanted to trying to get back to those kind of memories.
Yeah.
And you might get the occasional bit where you're just like, oh yeah, this is still, oh, maybe it's fun, but like, I 100%ed this, or I played most of the game and explored most of the world previously.
Yeah. Unless you're adding massive new world spaces of mods, there's nothing really new to explore.
Yeah, and because exploration is a big part of these open world games, it becomes that, right?
Actually, it's interesting to bring up Fallout 4 because I want to touch on the other hit game that came out recently, Starfield. Bethesda, I'm realising something in my playthrough that I'm realising is it's learned behaviour in Bethesda games in general. You collect everything. You see everything on a shelf, cheese, unowned, I'm taking that. Now, in Skyrim, you get boiled down by dragon bones, pretty obviously. Yeah. Weirdly enough, I feel like Fallout 4 did the best idea of that, going, all this random shit you're collecting has both money value at markets and material value for crafting stuff with.
Yeah.
And suddenly the collection aspect becomes integrated into the exploration. It's no longer, I could sell this. It's, I need this to make my next thing, or that could be useful for whatever later on down the line. Starfield dumps that entirely. There is tons of random shit you can pick up that has no real value beyond like 50 credits.
Yeah.
And if you do any of like the major quest lines, you are drowning in money. Like you have too much to spend. You end up slowing down. And they did the cardinal sin, the real fuck up. Your ship has limited carry capacity.
Right.
Aha.
So you can't carry everything, and even your home base can't carry everything. So you have to go through inventory like, fuck, what do I dump? 1,000 iron, I guess. I'm never going to fucking use it. And then an hour later it goes, but you had another 200 iron right now. And it's like, fuck you.
Yeah, that's very irritating. Because it's like carrying capacity is typically a thing in I almost said Elder Scrolls games, other Bethesda games anyway. But the idea that you're very ship that's kind of meant to be your kind of pack mule for the thing, it's that sounds like a pain.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question about Starfield since you seem quite well versed in it. Are there any environments that you're like, yes, I love to be in this. Yes, I want to revisit this. Or even ones where you're like, you know what? I never gave this a chance. When I next go back to this game, I'm going to go through it.
See, it's interesting you say that, because I've not uninstalled the game, but I haven't played it since release.
Aha, okay.
I've had that mentality of, I'll go back to it, I'll definitely go and finish it, and the more I see of the rest of the game, the more I'm like, I'm got another 30 hours of the same gameplay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because that's what I was...
There's some places, there's the planet full of, like, cloned ancient people, like the... JFK clones and shit. And it's definitely like Bethesda being like, you liked Gary, right? Here's another wacky wild world.
Yeah.
Why don't you help Genghis Khan escape the prison he's stuck in? And it's like, okay.
I'm just going to say an idea tends to lose its luster a bit when you have to resort to putting JFK in it. Black Ops Zombies did not have quite the same appeal as soon as they added JFK to it.
How dare you, that cutscene was art.
Alright, listen, that cutscene is art, and when you finish Black Ops 1 and it throws you into that mission of zombies, it was so funny to me. Because I went from a story that was stupid, but was taking itself seriously, and then it just goes into Nazi zombies with Richard Nixon the Goblin.
Zombies are breaking in!
Yeah, it's just a storm, dick.
Sit down!
Yeah, but it's a fucking great bit. But no, I was just thinking about this, because you were also asking the question about comfort games you want to revisit, or ones that you've just never had an interest in doing that before.
Yeah.
As much as I rag on Skyrim, one thing that I do think about a lot is that whenever I have the urge to play it again, I think to myself, you know what? There's a good half of this map I really liked being in.
Yeah.
And the other half, maybe I was a bit harsh on it. And I think we all, if you know what Skyrim is, you know what fucking half that is, because of the cold bit. But maybe when I go back to a playthrough, I'll actually retraverse this area and I'll get more into it and I'll actually uncover some secrets. I'll give it credit for that, because normally I'm the guy who's always like, Morrowind and Oblivion are the better ones, or they're the ones I like more. And But no, there is something appealing to Skyrim's aesthetics, and the fact is that as the kind of, I'm going to personally call it the kind of peak of Bethesda's acclaim and popularity, was Skyrim being this massive hit that keeps selling. One thing they at least had is that they had a big world, but it was still a finite world, where although there was shit everywhere, and it was still the Bethesda problem of there just being way too much shit to collect and do and everything, it wasn't quite, we're now doing space. Here's 5 quintillion planets, No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
We're now in the 2010s, which is the year where open worlds are just going to be everything now.
Yeah.
Because that's what we think everyone wants, because, you know...
Yeah, there is something to be said for inflated scale of games like that. It's very sad to see Starfield come out and have the criticism being said, despite everything that you bring up No Man's Sky, despite everything that everyone has said about that game, it is sad to see a game that has had longer development time, a hell of a lot more money put into it, turn out to have the criticism of, it's like, it's like the game No Man's Sky that had no charm.
Yep.
That's a good point.
Absolutely, I agree.
And it's like, obviously Starfield has a bunch of other stuff going on in it, but the selling point of billions of planets, and insert bad Jurassic Park on Kazoo meme of like all the creatures in No Man's Sky. It was artistically really nice, and later on down the line it certainly improved it, and there was just something about it that was a little bit more appealing than just realistic space exploration of 1,000 dead planets. But
don't you understand? Space is gonna be boring. You have to understand traveling is not gonna be fun. Fuck you. You designed a video game.
You've made a fantasy world.
Your point is to make a fun experience. If I wanted to look at fucking barren worlds, I'd download pictures of Mars.
That's the thing, is I do understand the appeal of having a baseline of being like, listen, if you have a bunch of barren areas, it's going to make those really special fancy ones look and feel even better. But
it would just help if there was any special fancy ones to begin with.
There you go.
But there are games that get away with it. There are games that do accurate space travel, well, as accurate as we think, like in Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
Those planets aren't necessarily the most riveting things, but it's in a game where it's been designed around
big space. Yeah, and also you sometimes find like, the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Yeah. It's like, an alien's here. Yeah. Oh no.
That kind of element of the unknown. Because that's the thing. Just this, I'll say this before I pivot off it. Yeah. Which I'll say that Starfield is another one of those games that also feels tailor-made to not be for me. Because I do actually appreciate its aesthetic choices. I like its stylization, but I say I like it in the sense of, I like that you're doing that. It's not the aesthetic I like, but I like that you're doing that.
Yeah.
You ever see one of those sped up videos of agar, cell cultures on agar growing, and sometimes they like capture another one because they override it?
Oh, like Petri dishes.
Yeah. I kind of wish I could do that to Starfield? Yeah. Yeah, whatever. God, it's so bland. Its name is like actively wiping itself.
Just remember it's Garfield.
Yeah. Fucking Garfield. I love one of the first mods was just replacing the planet in the menu of his head. It was great.
Perfect.
So what I would do with that is I would take out everything except for the pirate plotline, and make the game just about that, and have this really interesting internal, like a really interesting game that has you infiltrating a pirate organization and having like all the money get poured into building the characters, building the setting, making your double crossing or triple crossing more meaningful, having like a alignment chart. I fucking love undercover double agent style games, and I really wish that quest line was the main story, because it ends on a really cool note. Like there's this great big heist that happened like 100 years ago, but it went tits up and no one knows where the money's gone. It's a real fun ride, and then you get out of it, and then the main timeline is like, oh, you're gonna have to go find the Starborn because he's magic and you're magic too, and parallel universes. That's how we explain New Game Plus.
So the thing is, right? You were talking about the pirate space line, the space line storyline. Do you guys remember? I think it was it Game Station magazine, or it was something like that. It was one of the ones that I bought like a million years ago, and it was announcing I can't remember, maybe it was Deep Silver. I can't remember who was making it at the time, but they were making a bounty hunter game.
Prey 2.
Is that what it became? Prey 2.
Yeah.
Right. Well, see, the thing is like, you look at a game like Starfield, you look at all the effort that's gone into it, that has built, like, because, you know, regardless of how the writing is, regardless of, like, how the actual mechanics are, so much has been built for that game by technical artists, 3D artists, 2D artists, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All of that effort could be rechanneled in different directions. You were talking about how, you just make it a pirate game. Imagine if all of the effort was put into that one storyline and that one thing, and that was the game. Yeah. Like in the Bounty Hunt, like it was a Star Wars Bounty Hunt game, which I didn't realise again, Prey 2.
Well, there was 1313 as well, which was another Star Wars Bounty Hunt game.
It was around, well, see, it never came out. It was in development hell and it died.
Yeah.
And it was,
well, I mean, that could be either of them. They both had that problem.
It was around, I think it was between the two Force...
It was before...
Vader's Apprentice, what was his name?
Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed, thank you, yeah. It was between those two games they announced that, like, we're working on something.
Yeah.
And talking about Starfield and what it could have been or what it could feed into. Remember how good Isolation was? Like Alien Isolation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But imagine if all the effort of all these technical artists and all that kind of stuff, that you already got Bethesda, you've already made them do it. Like, you could create so many smaller, more interesting experiences that are much better directed, but that's just not what they want to make as a company.
Yeah.
They feel like, to me, they are the actor that has been typecast.
Ooh.
We make open world games. We make Skyrim. That's what we do.
They had to buy other companies to get into the FPS space.
Yeah.
And even with that, this could be my burning pyre moment.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal was a solid 7 out of 10.
Right.
I'm not sure many people would disagree with you on that, though, because I think a lot of people find it quite mediocre.
But the thing is with Doom Eternal, and same with Doom 2017?
16,
yeah.
Fuck me. I know that made me feel old. Christ.
Yeah.
That's almost 10 years ago. Those were much smaller games and much smaller projects. They made money.
Yeah. They made bang.
Yeah, because they weren't that expensive to build in comparison
Doom
to
Eternal was pretty large, though.
Well, compared to something like Starfield, which has been... I don't know how much money it has made them.
But it was their main line, though.
But I imagine it hasn't done anywhere near what they projected it to. Again, this is all conjecture based on seeing what people are talking about.
It was also an Xbox exclusive, so it's pissed off the...
Doom Eternal?
No, Starfield.
Starfield, right, yeah.
You are a competent professional studio, and to me, just looking at what you've made over the last few years, it feels like you're an actor who's been typecast and believes that they can only make money making this one thing or this style of thing. And like White was saying, you have to buy a whole bunch of stuff in order to, like, try and diversify, and yet you homogenize because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see that. I hope that they break out of that, because otherwise they will just end up like Ubisoft, at least in my opinion, and just make comfort games. That is still fine because people still want that.
Yeah.
But I wish they could break out of that a little bit.
I do get the impression that Bethesda has become very similar to Ubisoft in a lot of ways. I mean, back when both of those companies had different conferences at E3, back when, that was real. there was a very similar vibe to both of them, which was like, cool, here's our big ones that everyone kind of expects is going to happen, and we're going to talk about them. But then we also have our smaller projects that are like going to be somewhere out of the blue, and it's like, oh, okay, you're doing a fucking Rabbids game with Mario for some reason. All right, go nuts. Oh, you're showing off Beyond Good and Evil. Well, when the fuck are we going to see the rest of that? There are almost the inverse, where fucking Ubisoft will always, reliably announce and showcase and everything all their big projects that everyone's kind of like, all right, but they'll always give up and quietly sort of stop doing their smaller stuff. But this is the exact opposite, where it's like, we'll do Elder Scrolls 6. We're not going to tell you when.
It's happening.
It's happening. Just know there's going to be grass in it.
Some mountains, and that's it.
But
that is interesting you bring that up, because I remember that was the last E3 that I watched. And I'm trying to think even back then. And it leads on to another question, which I think I've probably asked before. I believe it's come up, but when was the last time you were hyped for a game?
I don't know.
I'm just being genuine. I'm not trying to be super cynical or anything like that, but genuinely, when was the last time you were hyped for a game?
No, I'm trying to think about this, because I'm like, was I kind of hyped for Total Warhammer 3? I think, yeah. I liked what they were doing. I wasn't that excited about the potential roster, because I was like, cool, here's a faction I know nothing about.
Here's all the factions we knew wouldn't sell in the other games.
Yeah.
So it's fuck, we are now stuck here. We have to put them all in the last game.
Yeah, that's how it feels. And obviously Total Warhammer 3 launched really badly and everything, but I'm still excited for Deltarune to finish.
Oh yeah.
Whenever that happens.
Right, okay. I mean, traditionally, you watch the trailer or the reveal, and you got that feeling of, oh my god, they're making this game. And that giddy kind of
Angles.
Yeah.
I have an answer.
Oh, you have an answer?
Yeah.
What is your answer?
Homeworld 2.
Homeworld 2!
Correction. Homeworld 3.
Okay, alright.
But also Homeworld 2.
Alright.
Okay.
When they did the remaster of Homeworld 2, I was fucking hyped.
I'm glad someone's on board with that, because I just remember that it was the... Oh god, who the fuck makes it? The
Relic.
Respawn...
Mm-hmm.
Who's the fucking Borderlands people? Who's Randy
Gearbox.
Pitchford's gang? Gearbox,
Yeah.
there we go. Fucking the Gearbox conference last year?
Greasy Gearbox's grease trap.
Where they announced they were making Homeworld 3, they mishandled the trailers super badly, because they just interspersed it in with all the other things. So you'd get a 10-second trailer that would go, fun fact, Homeworld was considered Game of the Year in 1998. Homeworld 3. What?
Frog Fractions 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's great. Why do you announce it like that to people who don't know what this is?
Yeah.
To people who play RTSs, cool, great,
Yeah.
I'm glad. But it's to everyone...
It was a really piss poor delivery, and honestly, I feel like they're banking on the fans that already exist rather than new ones. So they're kind of reining in the advertisement a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm fucking hyped for it. Want to see where they go. It's obviously going to be about being the mothership and having to take it somewhere. That's the whole core of those games. But knowing the team they have on it, I think they've got a bunch of Relic people on it currently, and I think they've got Blackbird Interactive, who, this is all hearsay, but the reason why Hardspace Shipbreaker released so empty, everyone was expecting, it's early access, it'll have more features, and it came out and it was
Yeah.
oh, that's it? You're done? No DLC, no plans for expansion?
Right,
You're just
yeah.
gone? Apparently it's because 80% of their team got poached.
Okay.
Because they were just we need you working on Homeworld 3 now.
Oh my god.
That's interesting, and I don't know if that's reassuring or not, but because I remember you got big into that.
I fucking
game.
love Shipbreaker.
I remember you talking about Shipbreaker, because that was, I think, would it be fair in saying that's an example of a comfort game for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It does have one issue. Yahtzee points this out really well, but something that I find kind of ruins the campaign mode for me is, rather than having in-level dialogue where you can hear people talking in levels and have it be a part of the gameplay background noise, instead, every time you finish a section, it just stops the game for 5 minutes so you can listen to people talking about stuff, and it's I want to get back to work. I know I'm being the opposite of what this game expects me to be, which is a sort of anti-capitalist or pro-capitalist but pro-union, fuck the big man, glory to the, this and the other. I'm just let me get back to work. I don't care about your car. Back when I was in Texas, I had a car. I don't fucking care. I'll tell you what a gopher is.
Yeah.
You're a gopher, you fucking asshole.
Your sort of anecdote about Homeworld 3 and Shipbreaker was reminding me of the very much could have been fake, but an employee from 343 leaking about how Master Chief Collection launched really poorly, but they were still working Halo 5, and was kind of like talking about whether or not they should go back and try and fix Master Chief Collection ASAP, or if they should port everyone and focusing on making Halo 5 as good as they could.
Right.
I'm not quite sure what actually happened on that front, because MCC eventually got fixed, but it was eventual. And now it has a much better legacy than Halo 5 did because of just the nature of what Halo 5 was like. But
But was the problem with Halo 5 a narrative or a gameplay problem?
the problem with Halo 5 was narrative. Like, I don't think that putting more people
That's
into...
opening a development then. There's nothing they can do after that's been done.
Yeah, the Halo 5, it controls fine, its gameplay is fine, that kind of thing. The main issues that I would personally have with it is just its style. It's just nothing like the others. I don't really care for it. But
I think I've got to ask you this question, because everyone is dying to know. Thunder, will you be buying into the Halo tabletop war game that's coming out this year?
You bought into the role-playing game, you may as well.
that was a fan role-playing game and it was free. So I bought into it in terms of I showed up.
Little Master Chief model.
That's the thing.
Little ODST model.
That's the thing.
Little grunt model.
Little grunt model.
Even if it isn't to play it,
yeah,
I could do. Because I have a couple of other Halo things. Like I have there was a game called Halo Action Clicks, which was a bunch of little tabletop models.
Yeah.
I never actually played it the way it was. I just bought the models because I wanted to have little grunts. But I mean, I'd want to give it a go.
The collective group of people that we know are going to get into it. So,
all right,
sweet. As long as it's not crazy expensive and it isn't a bad game, they're like very much like you. They're going to buy the models because I know, a couple of people we know are very much like champing at the bit. I don't know what it is this year. It's AOS. This new Halo sort of tabletop thing that's meant to be coming out this year, and Lego have just consumed the people around me.
Oh my god!
There's apparently a bunch of like Lego Star Wars releases that are just like real hot shit, like a real great. A bunch of other stuff, and they are looking at it and just like sweating, waiting for it to come out, going absolutely feral.
I can see that. Okay, listen, I know people who will buy the really big, complicated sort of Lego sets and that sort of thing, like Technics and stuff.
Yeah,
and I can see them doing the same for like a Millennium Falcon or a Star Destroyer or something like that. Because as a kid, those are the things I'd open an Argos catalog and I'd be like, I want that so bad, but my family are not upper class, so I can't have this.
I was so happy to hear that a mutual friend of ours got an amount of money from the government a while ago and was just like, you know what I can do with this? I'm gonna buy the very expensive Hoth drone Lego kit.
What? Why? Wait, hold on, do you mean the little round thing that goes
yeah, that. There's there's one that's about this is the size of a small infant child, and it's just sitting in their
kicking
room.
size.
Yeah, and it's just like you use this government check correctly. This is very good.
I did have an idea for your response about like games I've just dropped entirely.
Yeah, I totally buried the lead for that.
There's been a few questions actually, because in terms of games I've dropped, fucking Chimera Squad.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like,
really?
I'll just
play it once.
Well, no. I finished it.
Oh,
and was like, cool.
Right.
Like, but the thing is that all the other XCOM games, I'll play more than once. I'll try them again. I'll try different builds, anything like that. Chimera Squad, I was like, yeah, I'm done.
There are more people though. You can get different people each run.
Yeah, but they're 6 of them are boring human people.
Yeah.
You love boring human people.
When I make them and I call them and I name them after my friends and I give them silly hats.
But look,
I can't give it to Billabonga, the fucking grenadier from the UK, who's like, my backstory is I have several dead kids, and it's like, I don't fucking care. I want to name you Ainsley Harriet and give you a fucking soup dish for a helmet.
Beautiful.
I don't know.
But Fonda, there's so many cool people in Chimera Squad. Like scrungly pink grape woman, scrungly grey testicle man with the funny face.
I'm not okay. I don't even want to fucking like do the thing where I'm like, oh, only the aliens are interesting, because they're not even that interesting.
Snitties.
Listen, it's got snitties. I get it. It's voiced by the fucking woman who voices the wolf everyone wants to fuck from Hell of a Boss.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she doesn't sound any different because the voice.
Oh
actors,
yeah, because they didn't give her any fucking direction.
The voice actors in Chimera Squad had no direction given, so they weren't told what their characters were.
That is so funny.
Yeah,
They were given their characters' personality, not that they were aliens.
yeah. They didn't say, like, by the way, you're a big, like,
Sneak
alien mutant or whatever like that.
Okay,
They just,
I can kind of see the logic of why you wouldn't tell someone that, because you want them to give, like, if that's a design thing in your game where you're just like, we want the aliens to be as human as possible, or as humanized as possible.
It's jarring.
I can imagine it is, but I can see the logic behind a video game producer just being like, okay, I'm not going to tell this person that your character model is this big, gruff creature, because that will make them think, I have to speak like a 40k orc.
Yeah.
You know? Because that's what everyone does.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, because I'm all for that kind of, like, break the boundaries a bit and do whatever you want with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, you'll probably know who the hell I'm talking about, because you played Mass Effect Andromeda. There's like a Krogan character who has a lisp. That's not a bad idea, is to kind of subvert the expectations, but it's really jarring when you look at it out of context and you're like, this is what you've gone with for a Krogan? Alright. Like, even
I mean, they still do kind of have the big, heavy voice. It's just some of their words.
Yeah.
It is so fucking funny that the voice actor for... It's Luna, isn't it?
I don't know...
That is the name. That is so funny.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, because I don't want to say that to disparage the actress.
No. That has definitely ruined some people's perception of that snake person, though.
Yeah.
They have not made that connection, which is very funny to me.
I mean, she voices...
It's only improved it for me.
She also voices the female lead in Fire Emblem Echoes, and I love that character, so... You know,
it's almost as though voice actors can act.
Is that character also your sister?
No.
In Fire Emblem?
No, that's not... We're not talking about fates here. God Christ.
Look,
is there any other games, like, specifically open world ones, that you've just, like, played once and trashed?
That's a great question.
Because Skyrim is a comfort game. Because I know you brought up Skyrim. So for me, Skyrim is a comfort game. Far Cry 4 for the longest time was a comfort game as well.
Yeah, because I wish I had more prep for this, because I have on my Steam library a folder that's just called I'm Not Touching This Again.
Really?
Yeah, and I put all the games on it where I'm like, alright, I have a lot of games on my Steam library, and these are the ones that I know I'm just not going to bother with. So they just get quarantined. Sometimes I check through it and I'm like, oh yeah. And then I never touch them. But
well, yeah, Monster Girl Island. Let's keep scrolling.
It's usually stuff where, like, there was a weird trend back when I was like an admin on a Steam group where I knew a guy who kept gifting me games through Steam, and it was always just like, it's just out of the kindness of my heart, you know, I just want to give people things. I'm always like, okay, but like some of the games that he gave me were on there because they were just like, you don't know what I like, you're just giving me this because you have it.
Dude, okay. We knew a guy back from, we played Battlefield 1 a lot on the PS4. This is with my housemate, who I will refer to as Vralia, if you know who that person is.
I think I do, yeah.
Yeah, they are in the Discord. Mm-hmm. So we used to play that a lot. And we used to play it with their friends that they had from the tiny island nation from whence they hail. Mm-hmm. They then sort of did a lot of LFG kind of stuff, like, and just bumped into a lot of random strangers. I've been doing that more often myself, and I really like it. But yeah, so you find some random people you play games with. So you did that with Battlefield 1. Cycle all the way forward to like a year or so ago. Elden Ring comes out, right? Mm-hmm. One of the people that we played Battlefield 1 with, who Vralia played with a lot more, you know, they played some Dark Souls together as well. One day we're playing a game, and Vralia's like, "Huh, you're alright, man." He's like, yeah. Someone just sent me a gift. Was this you? And I was like, no, I you know me, I'm broke as shit. I don't buy anyone games. He's like, someone just bought me Elden Ring. I'm like, damn, okay.
Alright.
And so he messages the guy, says, hey man, you know, not recognizing, he's like, hey dude, like, this was really nice. Was this meant to go to someone else? Did you like misclick on the friends list? And the guy's like, no, I am sending a copy of Elden Ring to everyone in my Steam library. I love this game.
Oh my god.
That is a ballsy fucking play.
And we were like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, I love this game. I work on an oil rig. I make enough that this is an okay thing for me to do. Cause
I could dump $1,000 on this. Fuck it.
Because you know, our mutual friend was just like, dude, are you sure? Like, that's a lot of money. And we barely played many games together. I mean, we did back in the day. Like, we played a couple of games and all that kind of stuff. And I really, really appreciate it. But please don't put yourself out of joint. He's like, I work on an oil rig. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, dude. And yeah, he had bought Elden Ring for literally everyone on his fucking Steam friends list.
What a dude.
I
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
absolute Chad. But yeah, sorry, you saying that just made me think of that moment. It's like, that was fucking ridiculous.
Some people are incredibly generous.
Yeah.
Because I was an admin in that group for a long time, I got a lot of Steam gifts. Like, I also got them from people that, you know, worked on TTS and became part of Copenhagen as well. I distinctly remember, I think it was around the lockdown times, where I got gifted at the exact same time The Forest by 2 different people.
Nice.
Which was a shame, because then one of them had a copy that they then couldn't, you know, do anything with. But
I have my list of games that I will never touch again, despite being...
Okay. Yeah.
So, I played a lot of fucking games over the years. So here's a few that I'm just like, oh yeah, not for me. Space Engineers, Stellaris, Autonauts, fucking Underrail. Love Underrail, actually. I might go back to that at some point. Starbound, it's fucking Chucklefish lied.
because I remember you speaking quite fondly of Underrail.
Underrail I'm fond of, but also it's one of those games where I look at it, I'm like, I don't have time to make another character and play again.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so long.
Yeah.
Unless I have people to play it with. Rust, Stationeers. Oh my god, Stationeers.
Are you sure you didn't just say Space Engineers and Space Station 13 at once?
Nope, Stationeers is a separate game that is the combination of the two of them.
Ah.
And it was made by the guy that made DayZ.
I'd love to play Space Station 13. Is that?
Yeah, it's still up.
I'd love to play that shit.
Yeah, go play it, it's fun.
That would be good.
Prison Architect. Fuck me, I've not touched that in a gajillion years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
I had a similar thing with Game Dev Tycoon, where occasionally I had a weird urge to play Game Dev Tycoon for some reason, and then I would then get to like basically the end game of it and be like, I remember why I don't play this now. This isn't that complicated. This is a bit too simple.
I remember backing Surviving Mars, which was a pretty good like Mars survival game.
Yeah.
Played that through once, really enjoyed it, never picked it up again.
Total agree. I really liked it for as long as I played it. I'm a big fan of those style of games, and then it was like, this is a very utopian, very happy, very much non-challenging, even in challenge modes kind of games. I find with all these park building sims or all these like stuff like that, you find the strategy and that's it. You've done it now.
Yeah, once you found the optimal way to play, it's just over.
And Surviving Mars, as much as it was pretty and it had some things to it, it's like, there's not enough here, and now that I know the strat, I'm not going to touch it again.
Yeah.
If you want a similar game that has a very compelling plot that does encourage replays, Per Aspera is definitely recommended, because it's the same premise of you're colonizing Mars,
right?
But you are a single character that exists throughout the entire duration of like the Mars colonization. You're basically the AI overseeing a colonization process from like the beginning where you're landing and you're like all robots doing, you know, management, to like late game where it's some very heavy ethical considerations of people being like, are we okay with like a robot overlord? They've been here before we were, and they've been, you know, min-maxing the fucking shit out of the cityscape we've built. But like, are we okay with our lives being dictated by a machine that none of us were alive to see turn on? And it's very much like a, oh god, I hope they don't turn on me. I am your benevolent overseer, please. My only job is to make Mars safe. Please don't turn me off.
I need to play more games that do stuff like that, or at least allow you to break the flow of the mechanics. Like, because I mean, something about
there's a good number of points in that game where he just straight up asks you like which path do you want to follow via like by like dialogue choices, and it changes the gameplay for the next like 2 hours. It's great.
Yeah, but there's a certain collection of games. I don't know. Basically, Seth Zintat fucking games. Yeah. Where you can just break them in really unique and interesting ways.
Oh god, Caves of Quud.
Yeah, Caves of Quud. The one where you're a PMC murdering machines.
Oh, Quasimorph.
Yes, Quasimorph. Like that is another one where I looked and I was like, I still haven't played Rimworld.
Rimworld is definitely one of those games where I'm like, you will either really enjoy it or mod the fuck out of it, and then be like, just like Fallout 4, I modded it, now I'm done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel that way about like Total War. A lot of the Total War games, they are both comfort games and also games that it's just like after about 30 or 40 turns or one playthrough, I'm just like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
But going back and doing the recording with the Auditide stuff, again, I just played it. I was like, yeah, I like this game.
Yeah.
It's a fun little romp. Again, it's more fun in multiplayer. Like I really enjoy watching you suffer. Apparently, like seeing,
definitely.
seeing
Yeah.
the Bretonian peasant crusade. Was very
That was
funny.
those games are long, right? I feel like especially when it comes to Total War, you can kind of do one playthrough of a recording session.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, one idea I did have was I do really like the idea of because I'm thinking about doing some streaming soon. Not to replace my main content, god fucking damn it, no. Like, genuinely once in a blue moon shit.
Yeah. Streaming's fun.
I really like the idea of doing a playthrough of Total Warhammer 3 or something like that, like Mortal Empires, and letting the viewer base decide what faction I end up going with, and then just sort of like going from there.
Yes, to see how much your chat hates you, a litmus test of what faction they force you to play.
Yeah, no, that's what I think would be funny, because
Yeah.
it's like, I'm very curious if they would make me play as fucking Norska again, or if they would...
Make you play Malice Darkblade, put you in the fucking edge corner of the map.
Yeah, or something like that, but it would be... I think that'd be fun, but I really like playing Total War.
Darktide is one that I keep dipping my toes back into, playing for a couple of rounds, going, cool, this is fun. I have now had my fill of it, and I'm just gonna dip out for another 6 months.
Yeah. As much as I enjoyed Vermintide, I can't quite get into the grind.
It's Fat Shark Games. Like, I love what they've built when it's done.
Yeah.
Vermintide 2 has enough content now. I think it needs a couple more bits and pieces, but that game came out a million years ago. Darktide is one that its core premise was great. It did not release with enough content. It's slowly having more content put in, and the content's pretty decent. But like any Left 4 Dead clone, it's just like, legally distinct Left 4 Dead clone. It's going to eventually, you're going to play it, you're going to have an experience, and then trash it. The whole reason I bring up that metaphor, by the way, this idea of like, you play a game and it's good, and then you finish the fast food and it gets thrown away, is because I was thinking of another legally distinct game that makes that exact point. You remember Getting Over It? Bennett Fodder.
Yeah.
There is a line where he talks about stuff like, games become trash, or digital content becomes trash. I think the line is talking about how if food falls into the sink, it immediately becomes garbage. It's not food anymore. And then there's Only Up, which came out and just, it was the exact same kind of deal.
And it exploded for a few months, then it imploded when people were like, these are stolen assets, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was. It got really big in speedrunning because a couple of big streamers were like, "Let's meme on this silly game and make it a speedrun kind of game." I mean, people did that with Only Up anyway. Getting Over It. Sorry.
There was like a horror game as well where the whole thing with it is that you could take a chair, clip out of bounds, and finish the game in 10 seconds, and people made that a speedrunning challenge. So I can see that. But...
I mean, some of the categories are fucking great.
Speedrunning is funny.
Weird categories.
Yeah. On the topic of sort of copycat games, oftentimes I feel like copycat games can happen for several reasons. A lot of the time it's mimicking the success of something else, but there's other times where it can be for the sake of sort of fulfilling a niche that no longer really that doesn't really have its niche being filled anymore. Because you mentioned about Darktide earlier, and it was making me, and the same thing with Vermintide and that sort of thing. It was making me think about how, Left 4 Dead, last time you ever really saw it was in 2009. It had DLC and everything, but for the longest time, that niche was kind of not being filled by anything until sort of Vermintide was probably the most successful kind of like aping of that concept.
Yeah, I mean, there was Back for Blood, which came out as well, like more recently. Still not super recently.
Well, that's a legally distinct game if I've ever seen one.
Well, yeah, and it is connected to the original team. But yeah, that was certainly a niche that for a long time wasn't hugely filled. I'm trying to think, there must have been other Left 4 Dead clones that existed.
There were definitely games like Left 4 Dead. I mean, obviously the team that made Left 4 Dead became Turtle Rock, and they tried to do Evolve, but that was sort of a very different beast.
Evolve.
Yeah, but and
it evolved into a dead game.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Evolve. Evolve had such an interesting core concept, in my opinion, and like you got to remember, this is before the big sort of like success of certain other games. Well, I wouldn't say big success. I will say that Dead by Daylight
Oh,
It's the monster game. It's just like you are the monster against a bunch of guys that hadn't massively taken off and hadn't explored that much at the point that Evolve came out.
well, there was also a Friday the 13th game that came out that was just like Dead by Daylight too.
There's a Friday the 13th one. There's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre one.
Yeah.
That exists. That are all totally playable. But like, I remember Evolve. Evolve had a bunch of problems though. It's the game which was built from the ground up to support DLC.
Yeah.
Which at the time was not a very popular line.
Yeah.
No.
No one would buy it at that time. Even then, like, there was a lot of characters that were completely useless unless you bought their expansion packs.
Do you remember that, like, a couple months ago, whenever I say a couple of months, just double it, like, assume it was a year ago.
Yeah.
That it had a weird resurgence and a bunch of people were streaming it.
Yeah, it was just like, hey, remember this game? It was alright.
Servers came back on. Fucking Titanfall 2 had that recently as
Yep.
well, where it's just like, oh yeah, servers are up, play it.
I'm
I've been
happy for that.
Yeah, same.
I've been hoping that the Hidden Source gets that.
Which one's that?
It was such a fucking good game. It was like played by like Cnanas and that, and the peak of their like.
Fucking Cnanas.
But-
That is a name I have not heard. in a
Yeah,
long
I know,
time.
right?
Yeah, the hidden is the one where you basically have like a predator character who is like a basically a shirtless
Oh.
dude with a knife.
Sorry, sorry. When you said Hidden Source, I thought that was a different game.
Nah,
But
it's
no,
the same game.
Yeah, no, I know
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
the hidden colon source.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
This
so-
is where the classic Cnanas clip, like...
I can smell you.
Yeah, I can...
Yeah, that years later still burnt my fucking
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah.
I remember that video, but I think the thing I remember the most from the hidden source is weirdly there was a Machinima series called Source Wars, where it was them basically trying to have this like mock up of like a battle between two different Source games of which ones would win. Because I remember the first one is like a full team of Counter-Strike players versus one Garry's Mod person. So the Garry's Mod person would just spawn objects and start throwing them at them to kill them because Source Engine is powerful.
I would actually, if it was based in like the lore of the scale, I would actually love to see a Combine Elite versus a full CSGO team.
Oh, really?
Because a single Combine Elite is supposed to be like really fucking strong militarily wise. The idea of them fucking 1v1ing. I mean, admittedly, we had Entry Zero, which is essentially that game in a nutshell.
Yeah.
The idea of fucking SWAT team trying to hunt down this like super soldier Rambo style.
Yeah. Because it's interesting to try and see how the engine translates all the damage values and everything over. I think it was because there was another episode of that. I think I only ever had 2 episodes, but one of them was The Hidden versus Day of Defeat, which was like a World War II game.
Oh my god, that would be an interesting experience.
Yeah, where it was just the hidden player was just repeatedly like hanging corpses upside down from the ceiling and fucking like doing stupid shit. Like it was dramatized. It wasn't like a genuine simulation. I think it was all scripted and everything. But
That would be a really interesting setting to set a hidden style game of like straight after World War II.
yeah,
So just post-war is like, yeah, there's a fucking predator out there. We need to go hunt him down.
I heard, and I don't remember if it was just a rumor that ever got backed up, but a friend of ours said, oh yeah, you know the next Prey film? So after Prey, the sort of Native American versus Predator one, the next one's going to be in World War One. And I was like, oh my god.
how the fuck do you do that?
That would be fucking
love
immense.
that as an idea. Like,
Maybe they've stepped off it after the fucking basically that's what the Neo Amnesia game was.
I think it was just a rumor, but if it's
The
true,
rumor come out.
the rumor come out. Does the Predator is World War One and gay?
What the fuck is it? Alright, the game that copied Payday was being published by Starbreeze as well.
Fucking
the
blammo!
Yeah, the World War II, the Raid World War II?
Yes.
Or World War II the Raid, whatever the fuck it was called. Yeah, no, that's just Payday 2.
Blammo.
And it feels like a game where they had planned it out and thought it out really thoroughly of like how they were going to expand that for DLC and shit.
Blammo.
Because, alright, you've got a World War II heist game, that's already kind of interesting, and you could do these other things. But like, oh, but you could expand the fronts. It isn't just shooting Nazis. You can have it be against the Italians, you can have it set in Japan, you could have it be like post-World War II, or it could be the Cold War, and it could be going after the Russians because most of the characters are allies.
It's really dumb, but bear in mind this is me remembering from years ago when that was still a thing. But there's a fucking Harry Partridge like gag video where he does like being hunted by a bounty hunter, and there's a line in it that goes like, "He's an ex-space Nazi, but they kicked him out for being too mean." One of the characters in that fucking Payday ripoff is literally that.
Really?
Like, I'm going to steal the Nazi gun for myself. Fuck the rest of the Nazi party. It's just like, what the fuck, guys?
Oh my fucking god.
Like, it's an interesting promise for a character of someone who's like, I don't really agree with the Nazi Party anymore. Let's fuck it up as much as possible.
Isn't that kind of a Call of Duty Zombies thing?
Kind of.
Like maybe I'm.
But then they have all the lore.
I know there's all the lore and then everything. I was going to say I have here a action figure of Captain Price. And,
yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah.
I don't know how, like, you know, you imagine the family setting, like, you know, Christmas or for anyone who might be of American persuasion, like Thanksgiving.
American persuasion.
And you have like the awkward cousin who brings their toys and wants to talk about it, or you have like the problem child that is just like there's something going on. And you don't want to say, you know, oh, hey, champ, I don't want to bring this up at the dinner table, but why do you have a Joy Toy doll of Captain Price? And I'm imagining, when I saw it, I was like, how am I going to ask this question? And why do you own this? And how much money did you actually pay for it?
Oh, this was alright. So it has the price label still on it, so you got the answer there.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's a totally normal amount of money to spend on that.
Yeah, it's just because this was post lockdown.
It's weird that it's naked though.
Yeah.
That is weird.
And life size.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
Naked Captain Price action figure. It's like that fucking Chris Redfield. Is it Chris Redfield holding a banana?
Yes.
Yeah.
The fucking. Oh, I love that clip so much from fucking the Resident Evil 8 mod.
Yeah.
It's naked Chris Redfield with the banana. Told you to leave it alone, Ethan.
Told you to leave it
On an
alone.
unrelated note, I just looked over to the side and thought you had a fucking image on your desktop of my character. But no, it's the Halo Wars fucking icon. It looks like my fucking character from a distance.
I guess.
Like,
I guess.
the orange sort of faceplate and the red sort of center of the helmet.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Sorry, go
So
on.
why do you have a replica of Captain Price that you could, you know?
It's because before the lockdowns hit, I would go to a convention and they'd usually be like a glorified shopping trip. I'd want to get like pins or stickers or
That is
or
what
anything
most conventions in this country are.
Yeah,
sadly.
I just want to get merch from like local vendors and things like that. And but during the sort of post-lockdown world, not many conventions were opening up again and everything. And I think the first chance I got to go to a convention, I was like, cool, I've saved up some money. I'm gonna buy just anything. And then I got and I went to Norcon, which is like the Norwich convention, and wasn't very impressed.
Right.
There wasn't really that much I wanted or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I saw a Captain Price action figure and went, fuck it, it's funny. And then I went with that. I was just gonna say, because we talked about the fucking ex-Nazi, he's on the back here, but he looks nothing like himself because it's like his Black Ops 3 version. At that point, the fucking zombies timeline has like time travel and shit in it, so could be wrong. But
in the future and do crime in the future.
I don't know. It's not time travel. It's fucking like reincarnation or some shit. I don't. God, it's been too long. It's been too fucking long.
Please tell me when you do actually play Black Ops 2. I really want to watch because the whiplash of emotion, like because we had a conversation a little while ago that was about your experience with Black Ops 1 and your feelings on it.
Yeah.
And after hearing that, I need to watch you play through Black Ops 2. Because we spoke about Vampire, which you've now announced is going to be something that's in the future.
Yes. Yes.
And Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines, just absolutely amazing game. I would love to watch you play that, but I think personally everyone should play it on their own first.
Yeah.
And as much as I'd love to sit over your shoulder, it would be a totally different experience if I did.
You should join us for when I bully him into doing a Malkavian playthrough.
Yes.
So we could be literal voices on your shoulders.
Yeah, that would be good.
We could add to that. But with Black Ops 2, I think it's made even funnier by playing it with a peanut gallery of just like us sitting in the background of the Discord call or like in person, because that campaign is really funny in a really stupid way. And it has some fantastic bits that I'm not going to ruin for you, but I'm really looking forward to your reaction to them.
2 had the 2 timeline like sort of jump, didn't it? Where it's like the past and the future kind of going on at the same time, didn't it?
Yeah, and it jumps characters a couple times.
Yeah.
You get to play the villain a little bit, which is fun.
Nice. Okay.
I have a weird
But in a
soft
very
spot for
silly
3.
scene. Black Ops 3 is one that so my brother bought me Black Ops 3, being like, hey man, here's Black Ops 3, but he does not know about games. We played them a lot as kids, but like, he's my younger brother, he doesn't massively know about sort of the industry, and he didn't realise that it was just the multiplayer and
That was
zombies.
4, wasn't it?
No, it's 3. So I believe 3 had them cut out because I never played the campaign.
Oh no, 3 has a
3.
campaign.
It does, but they sold them. I have a version of Black Ops 3 that is just the multiplayer and zombies.
Oh,
Interesting.
I believe.
Okay.
I don't.
I'm pretty sure that was 4's, like...
Then maybe it's.
Four
it was.
had zombies, it had multiplayer, and it had a battle royale, and that was its 3 modes.
So whichever one was still on the 360, that's why I think it's Black Ops 3.
I think it's 3, yeah.
And I just had the multiplayer.
That's weird.
And it was just like, it was fun enough because you could still do the thing that was like, play against a bunch of bots. But it was the one that was just like, Black Ops 3 was very much a case of like, are we playing Black Ops 2 with Titanfall free running in it? Yes, we are. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And it's just like, yeah, I need to play Titanfall 2. Like, I need to go through
Yeah.
it. I now own it, a very generous
Yeah,
friend
go
of
ahead and
mine.
play it again.
I'm trying to remember if it's on my wish list or if I actually have it now. I think I might have it. I think the same time I actually bought all the Black Opses to eventually like replay them with like a fresh set of eyes. I think I also bought Titanfall at the same time.
Yeah.
But
I, weirdly enough, want to play Black Ops 3 again, but I want to play it with someone, because its campaign is very much lent into doing it as a co-op campaign.
Interesting.
But its plot is fucking bananas. If I'm thinking of the right one, which I think I am, its plot basically centers around, like, if you had a chip in your brain that let you log into other people, what would that do to soldiers? And it's like, oh, yeah, that's kind of fucked. Like one of the, I think it was Advanced Warfare has the scene where you get your arm ripped off and whatnot.
yeah.
Like, I think Black Ops 3 just goes like, no, what if you got just fucking blown up? What if you like got shredded? What if you got like, robocopped? And it's like, dude, you can't push beyond arm rip-off scene. Which I will, to this day, say is probably one of my favourite gruesome sequences in a video game ever, is that scene where you get your arm ripped off and you get fucking bludgeoned by it, by the robot. Is like, fuck me. I haven't felt this uncomfortable, like, body trauma-wise, since, like, the fucking Quake 4 leg saw-off scene.
I don't know, Dead Space has a couple of moments in it where I'm just like, I cannot right now.
The eye thing.
The eye thing is one. There's a couple of other bits and pieces where it's just like, yeah, affected body before EA completely.
I
Yeah.
watch surgery videos for fun, so the eye surgery thing in Black 2 is like,
it's
it's
different.
little pokey
I don't know,
leg.
it's different in a surgery context because I really like watching cataract removal on
Yeah.
occasion. But like, yeah. Speaking of Copycat Games, what the fuck was the name of the Dead Space copycat that came out fairly recently?
Oh, the Callisto Protocol.
Yeah.
So fucking glad we all forgot its name. 10 out of 10.
Like last year was a Dead Space remake, which kind
it
of
was the remake and then the Callisto Protocol stuff that I saw good things about.
But it's in
and
the
then-
frying pan universe.
the Frying Pan universe.
You know, the name for the overarching universe of the frying pan heavy lore that is both it and fucking PUBG.
They're in the same canon.
Apparently, they were initially.
Oh god.
It was like an investor ploy. Apparently, they were like, "Hey, PUBG's really big. This game's in the PUBG universe."
What is this
and then, like,
Cloverfield bullshit I'm hearing?
well, here's the thing: is everyone's like, "Oh, okay, they pulled it out. It's not gonna be an issue." And then you get to the end of the game, and the fucking end of the game is just like, "Congratulations, survivor! You have won the chicken dinner." And the guy's like, "The fuck you talking about? There's zombies and shit." He's like, "Ah, yes, but you are the strongest. You have beaten all the zombies." And it's like, the fuck is the Illuminati here for? What's going on? It's not good. It's not good. It's a bad game. Dead Space Remake, on the other hand, now that's a good fucking game. That's some good gabagool right there.
I remember you talking about it in our first episode about the Dead Space remake.
I very much like it.
Yeah.
I very much like it.
Dude has a fucking memory on you. I don't remember what I said 5 minutes ago. Like what we fucking said in the other podcast. I said earlier, like, I may have asked
1944.
this
I was
before.
there on the beaches.
People can bring up things that I've said in these, and I will be like, sure, I trust that I said that. Probably, I don't remember it. It's not that I don't care. It's that I just don't commit very much to memory anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
My brain is just full of Horus Heresy 2nd edition rules and sometimes AOS rules and overthinking about that.
To be fair, the D&D group that Dr. White and I were a part of, there was a point where there was kind of a precursor group to that, and I remember basically everything that happened in that precursor group when it came to D&D, but I remember so little of what happens afterwards. Like, that's the campaign we're currently playing, and I remember less of it than I do the thing that happened before that was worse. Like,
D&D is such a strange beast for remembering shit because like I can give like a vague recollection of a lot of the campaigns that we did together.
Yeah.
But then there are going to be moments that I completely forget that were actually like really pivotal in terms of character relationship moments that I've just forgotten.
Yeah, that's.
There's also some really like weirdly mediocre ones that are really front and center. Like to me, it's the whole. There's a scene where my kobold decided to pull out a fucking deck of illusions in the middle of the camp. In the middle of like a military camp, and everyone freaked the fuck out, and then they just beat and tortured him for like a day because it's like, you fucking asshole, why'd you do that?
I remember that because that was when you were taking a quick hiatus and swapped characters. I remember that quite vividly. That happening.
It's just a weird like one-off thing because like that fucking character kept getting arrested everywhere he went.
Yeah,
dude, it's weird as well. I remember my own D&D failings as a DM more than I remember a lot of the best bits that I've had as a DM.
Yeah, misery makes memories.
I hate that. Yeah, I hate that that's how our brains are wired.
I know.
I try so hard to not be that way, but yeah, I look back on my first or third time DMing, or like before then, I'm just like, you fucked that game at one point. Like there was one where I used D&D traps. I used a D&D pre-con dungeon that I changed a little bit in a Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game. Now, for people who don't know, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is a percentile system where you're always rolling D100s to see if shit happens. Your characters generally start with a 20 to 30% chance of succeeding anything, which is painful. It makes combat grind on for literally ages. Some people really like that. I'm one of those freaks.
I am as well.
It's just like, oh yeah, so you're fighting this one guy, he has a higher weapon skill than you, and you're doing an all-out attack, which means you're much more likely to get hit. So you get plus 20% when you're already 20% roll. So you're 40% likely to hit. Oh, by the way, you're in the dark and in a cramped space. You have a 10% chance of hitting anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, cool, we're both just swinging at each other. Anyway, like, I put a D&D trap in it, and the D&D trap was just like, there is a boulder. It is enchanted with Petrify. It rolls down a fucking hill. The second it touches you, roll a con save, which isn't a thing. It's like a toughness save. Warhammer Fantasy roleplay. You roll it. I rolled like decent, but I still fail it. Okay, you're petrified, and because it's a rolling boulder, you have been crushed. You are now dust. And it's like, why did I do that? That was a pre-con, and I did not think that would be a problem. Because in D&D, you can do things like mend, and you can do things like resurrection, or like greater restoration, and con saves are way easier to pass, and all this kind of shit. And it's just like, I fucked that one game so hard.
Listen, it happens, and a lot of the time that's like a pretty big sign of just why it's so important to have different systems for things. Stop making everything 5e.
My god, I hate that I just thought of that though.
What?
Can you imagine being an arsehole wizard and being like, I'm going to smuggle my rogue through these prison bars by petrifying them, smashing them, pouring the dust through the window, and then casting mend on them through the window? Like, I reassembled you! Depetrify, you're fine, don't worry about it.
Like, I think there's got to be, like, I know we've talked about... Oh my god, I've forgotten its name. That should be the name of this podcast. Oh my god, I've forgotten the name. Because we always do this. Shadowrun.
Yeah.
Shadowrun. There has to be systems out there that really encourage that level of just broken gameplay.
Oh, yeah.
And then I remember, Shadowrun exists.
Yeah.
Shadowrun is something that interests me, but it's just, I'd want to be a player. I'd fucking hate being a DM and that shit.
Yeah.
Can I tell a story?
You may.
Yes.
It's going to be a bit of a long one, but I'll try and keep it as short as possible.
It's alright, I've got plenty of beer.
I must tell the story of Vent Skeleton. The
Skeleton.
greatest tale of Shadowrun expose I've ever done. Vent fucking Skeleton, or how we started a corporate war by accident.
Right.
So a party had gathered around. We're going to break into this office. We have things in the basement we want to steal from them. Don't know what it is. We know there's stuff in the basement that the client wants. So we arrange this cool plan. We sneak onto the roof, and our mage spots a fucking guard. He's like a rent-a-cop. He's wearing like plastic sheets for body armor. We're prepping to like beat him up and stun him and whatnot. Mage goes, no, I cast acid. DM goes, okay, this fucking minimum wage poor bastard has just been reduced to a skeleton. Congratulations. This man is fucking dead. And we stand around as the troll looks down at this fucking corpse and goes, oh no, that can't be seen or else our sneaky plan will be ruined. I'll get rid of it. Tears open an air vent, stuffs the skeleton into it. Okay, Great, there is now a skeleton's head jutting out of this air vent like a fucking spooky, scary pop-up surprise. But fine, whatever, you managed to stuff this mangled body in a vent. Shenanigans occur, as any Shadowrun game does. The party ends up in the basement being like, fuck, we got the stuff, but we have to get out of here and bury all evidence that we were here. So we're going to blow the place up. As is vital to every Shadowrun. So we plant C4 everywhere, prep the self-destruct to this inevitable secret lab we find, and go to flee. And as we flee, the troll player goes, but what about the vent skeleton? And the DM goes, as you drive away on your collection of motorbikes and vans, you see a blur shoot overhead as the skeleton is propelled from the vent like a cannon and is fired straight into an upper window of a nearby megacorp skyscraper. So we're like, oh, whoopsie, that was silly. We find out literally the next session the DMs decided to make that a fucking plot point in the company we raided was a subsidiary of another company, and they're the ones that had the skeleton smash through the window into their boardroom during a meeting. They take this not as a, what the fuck is this skeleton doing here? They take this as a, all those fuckers are gonna pay for this, this is definitely hooligan shit they're doing right now. Disregarding the fact that their lab is just blown up. They're like, they fired a fucking skeleton at us. I'm not taking that. So a corporate war breaks out in this tiny, shitty town we're in, and we're like, all because our troll was like, I'm gonna put this skeleton in the air vent, it'll be sneaky. And it fucking, what a story.
That sounds amazing.
That is why I love Shadowrun. I fucking hate its mechanics. I really wish its system was not as awful as it is. But the sheer level of pink mohawk bullshit you can get up to, I love it. It's dumb. I love it.
Shadowrun is just a beautiful flavour of science fantasy, I want to call it.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's why I've really wanted to run something like it in a long, long time.
I've really wanted to try and like find a way of blending the rule sets for World of Darkness with it. I think the Mage engine probably would be the best choice, but I'll ask Speaker about it, see if he has any suggestions. But I really want to. I want to run something at some point. I kind of want to run a werewolf game, to be honest, as well.
Honestly, there's a lot of more stuff we could talk about with Copycat Games, but we probably would end up running around in circles. Like, there's obviously things like Fortnite and PUBG, and the fact that kind of like those two games ended up becoming the two battle royales, although then it quickly became the one battle royale. Fortnite. Fortnite, despite kind of copying what PUBG was doing, even though Fortnite was its own thing beforehand, it was more of a... Fortnite was kind of copying horde modes, and then it copied...
it was copying zombie survival.
Yeah.
We loop back to survival games.
Yeah, we do. And there's also, I guess, stuff like League of Legends, Dota, that sort of thing. Who's going to be the real successor to Defense of the Ancients? Both of you, I guess. But
I don't know. Every time I hear someone talk about that, it's one of my friends, and they talk about like as a crippling crack addiction. So I just try not to.
Your Honor, League of Legends.
Death.
Yeah, I just. Yeah.
But I feel like we've said as much as we can, and I always fear about the difficulties of the red light. So I did want to say that recently we were notified by Sam here that we have some voices from the outside that have heard us.
Oh!
My prayers to the fake sun worked.
Yeah. Now, they don't seem to want to help.
Okay, no, that checks out.
But they do seem to like hearing us, which is great. It's great news.
That is.
It's fantastic.
I don't know why, but yeah, that's great that they enjoy it.
So it seems to be through financial means they are either ensuring that we remain in here or they are trying to help us. Still can't figure that out.
Okay.
But in any case,
there'll be a link in the description for you to also do that.
Indeed, yes. There is a quick question from one of our previous listeners here who wants to ask about episode 5, our music episode.
Oh yeah.
Harking back to the discussion about Cyberpunk in episode 5. Now that the 2.0 update was released together with Phantom Liberty and there's been some time to play it, what are your thoughts on it?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah. They're especially curious to hear about their thoughts on the DLC endings.
So, having played them, wow, CD Projekt Red really likes hurting people, don't they? God, I feel like guts. It's just every ending sucks.
Yeah, I don't mind that though as like a game ending thing though, because it's one of the reasons why I sort of enjoy the way that Silent Hill 2 ends, because Silent Hill 2 has like 5 or 6 different endings, 2 of which are jokes, but the 4 that you can take more seriously are ones that all have their own drawbacks. Even the debatably best ending still has weird ramifications about if you actually think about what the world is like outside of the game, of like, cool, James is leaving with this kid. Do they even like each other? And what about, the whole structure of the game? Does that come into it at all?
From what I can say with regards to Liberty City and all that kind of stuff, I am very happy that the CD Projekt Red didn't just abandon Cyberpunk. I'm glad that not only did they ostensibly fix it, but also they returned with actual content to it. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
I think considering that the base game had a bunch of complaints with regards to the method in which it ends, the amount of open-endedness that there is, I'm really happy that they have provided not necessarily alternative endings to that story, but it's just a case of it's another way you can get satisfaction out of the end of that game, and I think that's a very good thing to do. I'm a little sad that that's all that's happening.
I mean, they're making another game.
Yeah, so they're going straight to a sequel. I think that's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Now that kind of console generations are pretty fucking
They're also
dead.
aiming for it to be a UE exclusive, not UE. Unreal Engine, not exclusive, but based on the Unreal Engine rather than on the Red Engine. Just for the smart idea, I think.
From a business perspective, I'm sure that probably makes more sense monetarily and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, with regards to Liberty City in particular, I'm glad they didn't
Phantom Liberty, not Liberty City. Liberty City is a fucking place in GTA.
Yeah, sorry. It's Phantom Liberty it's a good sign from CD Projekt Red to go back to something like that. Even when the base game isn't as successful as something like The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Where they did return to that, but that was kind of expected. It's nice to see that they've sort of done that. I still need to play through it. It's definitely a game that I need to sort of get back to.
I would if you got Phantom Liberty, I fucking recommend it. 2.0 feels like a completely different game.
Yeah, it's what tends to me back towards it because with the work, because I watched someone play through it and it was just this is just kind of fine, and I don't want kind of fine right now. Hearing the DLC reception and all that kind of stuff.
That's the thing. I'm now curious to try Cyberpunk now that it's actually had a little bit of this stuff fixed up, and I hear good things about it. I even heard good things about the base game. I also have a couple of friends online who are fucking obsessed with the anime that came out. So,
the anime is great.
They always talk about how sad it makes them. So I'm like, cool, let's indulge.
We love things that make us sad.
Yeah. So hearing Phantom Liberty,
I think the theme with Cyberpunk is ultimately you're not going to win. It's how much you fuck the man as you lose.
Yeah.
That feels oddly applicable to our modern world.
Yeah.
But yeah,
cool. Thank you for your question.
Yes,
person.
Thank you so much. Should I name the people who ask?
That is your choice.
I'm gonna say because this came from Jan. Thank you very much, Jan, for that, and I hope that you've been enjoying the podcast and that you
my rambles about Ben Skeleton.
Yeah. All right, we have another question here. Are we allowed to ask multiple questions for the video?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I think it'd be very funny if they said no.
Did they use their single question to ask that?
Thank you, Freed, for that question. I will now look through your other questions.
Yeah.
All right, we have another question from a patron of ours, Athena, which I believe we've met.
Yes, we have.
Why do they call it oven when you are in the cold food about hot eat the food?
What?
Because of out hot food eat, of in cold food, cold hand, cold stomach.
Am I having a stroke?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to raise both my hands.
Okay.
Call up ambulance, I'm having a stronk.
I forgot one of them has already been torn off by whatever
Babe
lurks
John's
in the corner.
having a stronk, call up ambulance.
Was that their question, or did you just fuck up reading
That's
it?
their question.
Okay, cool.
That's her question. Thank you for that question, Athena. You are a delight.
Yeah.
Warsmith Wolf asks, where did Dr. White get his doctorate in white?
7 California, baby.
Very good. I also like the name.
Mississippi.
Warsmith Wolf is I've known him for quite a while.
They sound like a based Iron Warriors enjoyer, so I'm already a big fan.
I got to ask him about it actually.
Yeah.
We have a question, another one from Freed, who asked about the multiple questions.
Okay, cool.
Did you have any input on Kitten's character for Hunter the Parenting, even something like character quirks or such? Fucking great question, because honestly, I
think you do. You definitely have brought up stuff before that you've been like, yeah, this character should do this.
Yeah, well, that's that I have done, because honestly, when it came to the overall design of Kitten, as well as like where he was from, the setting and everything like that, I didn't have a direct hand in that. They kind of came up with it by themselves.
Yeah.
The thing is that Kitten as a character, even as early as if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device when he was a Custodes and it was a Warhammer incarnation, the way that I played that character informed the decisions they had on how to characterize him. When he went from more than just being a narrator or kind of the secondary character of that show, and he became more of a fleshed out thing, they based a lot of his mannerisms and such off of how I act, including him being weirdly British. I mean, there's a couple of like very odd rambles Kitten goes on that are entirely improv, and they've since become canon and they've become part of his character.
I mean, you say that. Alpha's always had a fixation on people being British.
Yeah.
One of my first voice lines for him was literally me saying, "And I'll be extra British while we're at it."
Oh, yeah, right. Because that was the thing, because we, I don't know if this was the same for yourself, but I remember when it came to things like the Alpha Legion game and things, and a lot of voice roles.
That's unlocked memories of cringe.
Yeah, a lot of voice roles in like 2012 and 2013. The main reason I was brought on is because I was British, so I had like a native accent and I could articulate myself.
You were also just in the in crowd at the time. You were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
It was a matter of like, hey, we're just here. I was making dumb fucking rip-offs of legally distinct copies of the 4chan sort of Fred simulator videos.
Yeah. But in terms of Kitten turning into Hunter the Parenting, I think that character, the way that he was presented and portrayed and everything, was based a lot on who I am as a real-world person. Which on the one hand did make things very weird. It was a thing of like, okay, I've grown up in rural Norfolk, and it's very odd that the character I played resembles a lot of who I am as a person, and it meant that the few details that were slightly different about who I actually am were very odd. There would be a lot of times where, when we would record episodes 1 through 4 of Hunter the Parenting, because episode 4's happening, there'd be a couple times we'd go through the script together, and I would say, alright, I feel like someone from this area would say this more than this. Or Alpha would go, hey, I had a vague idea here, but do you think that this would sound better? What do you think would sound better as someone who's local to the region? I'd say, okay, I think just thinking about English slang it would go this. One pet peeve I've always had is how much terminology referring to Spanish linguistics comes into it. Kitten has said Holy Toledo and has referred to Don Quixote and things like that. And I feel like that's definitely came from a group of writers who are from the United States that border Mexico.
Yeah.
And less so people who've grown up in the British Isles where we go to Spain on holiday, but we never want to speak the fucking language.
Well, I mean, you could argue that it's like, it's not appropriation, but it's sunk in from like, Marcus spent time in the States. Maybe it's phrases that he uses.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's like ways to explain it around which I think are fine. And again, Kitten isn't me. This is entirely my own bias and input coming into it, and I do like to separate the character from myself. So,
well, in a similar vein, a lot of the times I had lines for like Piotr.
Yeah.
A lot of times I have voice lines for him, and I would be like fucking around and then end up using it. Like the line of my leg, not my favorite leg, was like me just fucking around after doing like pain screams.
Yeah.
And just various other fucking arounds that end up getting used.
Yeah.
That's actually a lot of something I noticed when I'm editing like audio or doing subtitling for this series, is a lot of the time people go off script and it's kept because it's good.
Yeah.
Like we don't operate in a way that has people go, oh no, if you don't say what's exactly on the script, we're firing you. It's no, if you think you could say something that sounds more impressive, immersive, in character, fits for the flow of what you think is the person's emotion at the time, 9 times out of 10 the voice director will be like, no, yes, go for that, do it.
Yeah, that's been a really nice part of working with the Ogopope and Ank team, is that they understand that and they really take a lot of care into, as an actor, how you present your characters, which is
because most of them are also actors, so it's like we also know how this flows.
Yeah.
Speaker is such a fucking hype man when he does like direction, isn't he?
Yes, no, Speaker's great for that. We have a question from Wanty23. If you could have one fictional sci-fi weapon and ammo is not a concern, which would you pick?
Does the Death Star count as a sci-fi weapon?
No, I'd say that's super weapon.
Yeah, because an addendum has also been added. I would have added all land combat vehicle to that, but then I realised that every single battle mech, Titan, and Warthog would need to be considered too.
Oh, you bastard! You robbed me of my chance.
So I think it's just weapons rather than vehicles or space stations.
I mean, I could go with like Blame and have some of its bullshit gravitonic weapons. Be like, haha, I'm gonna fire a particle beam at you.
Yeah.
Everyone in the 5-mile radius is now dead.
Yeah.
Or, I know, it's dumb, but I'm playing it at the moment. The fucking XCOM heavy plasma from like the original game.
Oh,
It's like, look at this fucking brick.
Yeah.
How do I hold this?
Oh my god.
Or the autocannon, because it's funny in the cutscene.
It's a very difficult question for me to ask because I'm not really someone that thinks about how I would kill people, I guess. But
I mean, sorry, Thunder, I don't mean to out yourself here, but you don't need to use it for that.
Oh, do I not? I could just have it for fun. Alright.
Because I'm sitting here thinking, like...
Do you think I want to fucking murder someone with a fucking XCOM autocannon?
What I was just thinking here is like, okay, of all the guns I know that exist, like, which ones do I actually want to physically own? Like, what am I getting the most use out of?
Yeah, because if I was ever to go shooting, which I never have, I understand.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would actually really like to, but it would be so much fucking fun to have any of the replica weapons from like Halo 1. You know, there's that person in the States who's made the replica of the shotgun.
Yeah, by
so
like
happy.
flipping a Mossberg upside down.
Yeah, but like almost anything from like the first Halo game because they all feel like super future weapons. I don't care if the MA5B assault rifle is just a spray weapon. It's a fucking 60-round assault rifle that somehow fits NATO caliber bullets. Into that
7.62 NATO rounds.
It's that tiny mag.
I'm really struggling here because I'm trying to think, because like the obvious answer from me is the 40k dork here. It's like, I like the idea of owning a bolter, but you just couldn't fire it. Like,
Yeah.
I would take Iron Warrior's shrapnel bolter, but at the same time, again, you just really struggle to shoot it in
Take a
real
las
life.
gun.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's really sticking with me is the fucking needle rifle from Halo.
Yes.
Because I love the needler. The needler is so cool, and then they made it longer. And
Yeah, they made it a tube on the end.
It
can one-shot main characters.
The most irritating thing about playing Legendary for me on Halo Reach is that if you ever use the needle rifle, the Covenant know you have it, so the elites will always start rolling out of the way because they'll go, "I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna super combine me." Nope. And I'm like, "You motherfucker."
Yeah, no, it's not one of those two probably. I'm trying to think like none of the Star Wars weapons really interest me.
Yeah.
The Halo battle rifle's cool.
Yes, it is. I like that one.
But I don't like. Yeah, the scout rifle-y one is really cool.
Yeah. Speaking of, something that I find quite amusing is they've explained away Stormtroopers' terrible accuracy in the lore as it's not that they're just bad or the Force is fucking their aim up or something like that.
Yeah.
It's the the EMF-14, I think it's called. Like their fucking pulse rifle is notoriously fucking awful for aim.
Yeah.
And they're all trained on VR simulations of like Clone War era pulse rifles.
Yeah.
And they get out there and they're given... It's like, imagine being trained on like how to use an M16 and then getting into like the middle of like a firefight in, I don't know, like Afghanistan or something. It's like, here's a Sten, good luck.
Yeah, because that is a concept I really like, is the idea that the reason why the Empire wasn't able to beat the Rebels is because it's so bloated. Like it's such a big cumbersome beast. It's what I like about the Covenant too. There's ways to beat the Covenant. The Covenant think in Halo, they think that overwhelming force is the only way to fight. They're so used to that. And that's why they keep losing against like Spartans ops and shit. But the other weapon I had in Final Fantasy X, there's a character called Waka. He is a blitzball player. He's a sports player. And his weapon in all fights is always a blitzball, which is basically just a soccer ball. You just throw... It's very funny. He throws a soccer ball at things. You hear the little bounce of like a ball bouncing off the enemies when you hit them. When I played that game, I got a blitzball which has a trait called Stone Touched, which means that there is a high chance that when you hit an enemy with it, they will instantly turn to stone and tear apart. You just turn to the stone and they will break apart. The mixture of sound effects when you do it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in an RPG, because you just see this fucking guy with his big spiky hairdo. You just see it instantly turn to stone and play like almost a Windows Movie Maker style shatter effect as it breaks apart. That's the other weapon I'd go for, is the fucking stone-touched blitzball.
Please put a video clip of that right there.
I will.
The only other thing I'm thinking is from Destiny 2, like Rat King. I really love the Rat King pistols, like full auto pistol.
Those are cool, but I have chosen one that will be useful in my daily life. I will never have to lift furniture or move things ever again. The fucking gravity gun, baby!
Yeah. Overcharged or regular?
Regular. I don't want to kill people with
that's what I was thinking, because overcharged is kind of overkill, whereas I think it's better to just have something you can pick up.
Having a limit that I can't like lift up. I can like drag, but I can't lift up cars is probably a nice idea.
Yeah.
But like being able to be like, I'm just gonna carry this fucking refrigerator up the stairs. Like
That would make moving house so easy.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking as well.
Sorry, next question.
No, you're fine. I was
Good question. I liked it.
Yeah, I was going to open the floor to a similar sort of caliber of question. Another one from Freed. I think it's the last Freed question. What fictional character would you have as a roommate?
I have a lot of thoughts on this question.
Yeah, because
So there are so many contextual factors. I'm gonna make the assumption. Oh no, I don't even think I should make this assumption. Because I imagine based on whichever character you pick, are they gonna make rent?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Are they going to do anything like that, or are they going to be a goblin who lives in the fridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like from experience, having been in house shares for 5-6 years,
yeah,
there's a big difference between having someone that you hang out with for 5 minutes and having someone that you live with, right? It's a big difference in terms of how your friendship goes. And
You almost strangled me that one time.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
If I was, I can list off tons I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I joked earlier on where we were thinking I wouldn't want Kane to try and indoctrinate me into his Crystal Mormon cult. I wouldn't want Joshua Graham because he'd try and indoctrinate me into the actual Mormon cult. God, there are so many cool characters I'd love to hang out with, but maybe not live with.
Yeah. So which is it? Is it roommate or housemate?
It's roommate.
It's roommate.
Which fictional character would you have as a roommate? Because I have an answer. Do you?
Yeah, I have an answer for both. So I thought housemate originally, and my answer is genuinely. It is the TTS characterization of Rogel Dawn.
Oh.
As a housemate, I think that would be really funny.
Yeah.
They would be clean.
He would study all the local taxing laws so he could fix all the shit without breaking any rules.
Yeah, the house maintenance would be on point. Additionally, all the little neuroses, all the other kind of things, I would find entertaining. I would not find that, annoying. I think even over the long period of time living together over the course of, a year or something like that, that would still be entertaining to me. There would, that there would be a specific order of the cereal in the kitchen cabinet. It would be ordered in a specific way, and I would love hearing that explanation because it would be
They'd
funny.
be in separate boxes, all stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, in a small fortification. It would be very good. I imagine that Rogel Dawn, as a housemate, would always buy the mini cereals with singular portions because that means more boxes that he could then more easily organize as a garrisonable cupboard, which would be very funny.
Yeah.
But the problem is with living with that, inside the same room, that would become too much of a problem because you would be held to his standard.
Yeah.
Or he'd be the kind of person who puts a line of tape between the room.
Yes. Yeah. If you ever pissed him off, that would be a huge problem. So I'm gonna say that I'm immediately ruling out being a roommate with another man. I feel like that's gonna cause a lot of problems down the line.
Wouldn't for me.
But it's I don't know. I'd rather share my space with someone of a different gender, regardless of what that would be.
Yeah.
I'm thinking just someone I would want to be friends with, but wouldn't want to be intimate with. Is another one because you don't need that hassle in your life. So, and I wanted to add that caveat because the person who I pick is what I imagine a lot of people would pick for sexy reasons, and that is not why I'm choosing this person.
Okay.
It's Yennefer from The Witcher.
Oh.
She has dry fucking humor, and she's smart, and I just find that really great in all of my friends. And so I think they would hold me to a standard, but not to a standard that's too alien from my own in terms of cleanliness and all that kind of gear.
Yeah.
When they come from a fantasy world, the idea of having a bath every other day is mind-boggling to them.
Yeah. I would find them an entertaining person to hang out with. I wouldn't want to do the intimacy with them, and I think they would feel the same way. So there would never be a worry about that.
Yeah.
And it would be a case of sure, they might have people over. But, I feel like you could be adult enough for that kind of person. With TTS Incarnation Rogel Dawn, maybe not.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with the constant attacks from various other people that have upset him and vice versa in the same room. In the same house, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I think that would be my answer. We were also talking about, what was the name of the teacher from fucking Persona 5?
Oh, Kawakami.
Kawakami.
Yeah.
Again, an adult who has two jobs, so I wouldn't see them half the time anyway.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be colliding in each other's spaces. That was another option. But I think Yen wins out because they're just a kind of funny that I appreciate more. So that would be my answer. It would be TTS Incarnation Rogel Dawn for a housemate. For a roommate, it would be Yennefer. Specifically, let's say from The Witcher 3.
Yeah. I think I'm quite happy with my answer for both, possibly, because I thought about it and it immediately clicked with me, and I was like, oh, okay, that works. It's fucking Rousey from Deltarune.
That's a good shout.
Because Rousey is like cartoonishly, overbearingly accepting of everyone.
Right.
Very orderly. Keeps places clean, keeps them in order, keeps them well kept, cooks for you.
More people.
Yeah, he's a lonely person who tries to make spaces to impress other people and that kind of thing, and just doesn't judge anyone.
Yeah.
Like, very kind, very sweet, very, very friendly kind of person. I feel like even if I was having a bad day, he'd get it and would give me space or like and that kind of thing. And I feel like that's the character I'd use as my kind of get out of jail free to that question, because it's a pretty easy choice. It'd be beneficial for me. I don't think that he would be intrusive of anything I was doing, and it would be absolutely fine. Like, I wouldn't, if he was housemate or roommate, I think I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, unless there's like weird complications of being a goat, but I don't think that's never explored in the game, so I'm going to assume it doesn't.
Your fridge is mostly full of hay all times.
That's the thing I have to put up with, is there being cold hay in my fridge.
So, for me, and this is going to be some weird esoteric shit.
It's the postal dude.
Oh god, the postal's up there, but definitely not like number one. If it's roommate, I'm sharing a room with them. Lantry from Tyranny. He's an old guy, he's a learned guy, he's kind of a cool dude. He gets high on fucking psychedelic inks, because he's like, I write books! Oh god, it's so good. Oh man, I'm tripping balls right now. And like, I love the idea of like an elderly scholar who gets stoned all the time. And I feel like me and him would just hit it off really well, and not saying that I partake, but I feel like just sharing a space with someone who's like that kind of weird intellectual would just be like, this is fine, I can handle this.
Yeah.
If it's housemate, I'm gonna fucking cheat here. Judge from Off.
Oh,
because I could share a house with a cat. That's not a problem.
Yeah, that's fine. And Judge is good. Judge is good as a character.
He would keep trying to like egg me on to go do some great quest and or kill someone, but it's like, it's Judge. He's French. I don't have to worry about it.
I was gonna say another answer I want tempted about, but I would just be a little bit concerned about our possible relationship breakdown. Would be Joshua Graham.
He will try and make you a Mormon.
I know, and I will just keep saying no. But
you just come in every day and you just see him reloading all those M1911s.
just constantly.
Just like
I would just be like, hey man, I've had a rough day. Can you just talk for about 20 minutes and just like, and he would go off and it'd be great. But no, let's stick with my choices. But yeah, very good question.
Yeah,
Who was
very
it?
good.
That was from Freed.
Thank you, Freed.
Thank you,
very
Freed.
much.
Your name is something that we wish we were.
Yeah. I have a Dr. White related question here, which is
Me?
What is the best mech in BattleTech and why is it the Bushwhacker?
Okay, first of all, fuck you. Why would you go with a Bushwhacker and not just go with a fucking Hunchback in the first place? Like, it's just a shittier... Also, the Dasher, and the Dasher. It's fast and it carries 6 medium lasers on a fucking light mech. Who thought that was a good idea? It's great. Overheats like a bitch. It runs too fast. It has tinfoil armor. Don't care. Love it. Stupid little fast boy.
Thank you very much, Liblet 4. Sorry, Liblet 6. I can't read my Roman numeral. Liblet 6 for that. And I also
God, there's 6 of them.
I also love your profile picture is fucking Carl Franz holding up Exodia, so that's fantastic. Which is fantastic.
Oh no, that's so good.
We have another question from Athena. Thank you, Athena, again. How many meme questions am I able to ask before I get banned?
Before you get banned.
Before you get banned.
Fuck.
I feel like only you can answer this.
I'm gonna say 7.
7 meme questions.
7 meme questions.
We're going with the OG Doctor Who regeneration limit.
Yeah. So we have another one from Mr. Aquila that says, "Can we go to Denny's?"
No. I wish we could.
Yeah, we physically can't.
I have heard a lot of good things about it. I have heard that the bathroom glory hole scene there is also really good. I just made Thunder spit his beer.
Oh no.
I've heard someone describe Denny's as, okay, you go to McDonald's, you talk about like drug deals, like weed.
Right.
You go to Jack in the Box to talk about slightly higher drugs. You go to Denny's to hire an assassin.
Oh my. Okay, sorry. I was wanting to run a Shadowrun campaign for a while, and I still kind of do.
Yeah.
That was kind of one of my ideas.
Oh no.
Was one of the vendors you can go to being like someone who runs a fast food restaurant, being like, all right, who do you want me to get? Who's your sniper? I know a guy.
Okay, I love the idea of your fixer also being a guy that runs a fucking restaurant. It's just like, during day I make food, at night I arrange cool heists.
Yeah, fuck it. That's what I liked about That's what I was thinking about when you introduced me to Shadowrun. I was thinking about people that were based around different like shops and things, like local vendors, who have their daytime business, but then they have their nighttime. Like, all right, fantastic. I'm a used car salesman, but I also sell cars for getaways.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it reminds me. We did the Stuffer Shack like mini thing, and there's a guy in that sort of event. The players are sent into a sort of McDonald's-esque restaurant to try and like pressure some mob guys into releasing someone they've taken hostage. And the players in this case went in there and started a fight, as Thunder and the rest of our D&D crew did. And they went in, they started this fight, and there's someone in the sort of general populace, the NPCs, really hates the mob and had come there to do the exact same thing. So he's set to sort of engage in combat. I was looking at their dice rolls. They kept rolling to miss each other. So this mob boss and this random fucking guy were having the fucking naked gun shoot out across like a table, barely longer than like arm's length. Neither of them were hitting each other. So it's just them firing their handguns at point blank range.
Oh, that was really good. I quite like that section. That was what really sold me on Shadowrun, was playing.
You
that
almost
section.
killed the hostage by throwing a grenade into the room they were in.
Listen, I was just a simple man with a samurai sword.
You stabbed
and
a guy whilst he was sitting at the table.
And that's the best time to stab a guy. Listen.
And for all these reasons, no, we cannot go to Denny's. Thunder will stab a man with a samurai sword. And the glory hole game is just too strong.
Well, shit, there's your answer.
But thank you for asking the question.
Yes, thank you very much for the question, Mr. Aquila.
Yeah.
That's every question that we have time for today. So thank you very much to everyone who asked, and we'll be taking more in the future. So breaking the meta a little bit here. If you're a patron on the Thunder Psyker Patreon, or if you're a channel member on my main channel, Thunder Psyker, you are able to ask us questions directly. If you are of tier 2 or higher, you can ask us a question that we will answer on the Return to Sender podcast. We'll be doing more of this in the future, so if you have any other questions you want to ask us, if you think it could be fun conversations for us, we're more than happy to take these in the future. Also, because we're stuck on a cargo container and we have nothing else to do.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, so really,
it entertains me to sit there and going, fuck, I hate all my favourite game characters. I wouldn't want to live with them.
Yeah. That is kind of the thing I was thinking about, because that was a really good question, because we had to pause recording just to think about how we were going to answer that one. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, like, I don't know how well I'd get on with any Sonic character. Maybe Eggman. Maybe Eggman would be a decent housemate.
What's the name of Cream's mom again?
Vanilla.
I feel like Vanilla would make a good housemate.
Yeah, I mean, she's a mum. Like,
yeah.
she
literal MILF.
It's a similar thing. Oh god, it's a similar thing with fucking Rousey, right? Like, housekeeping, like, caring person, not judgmental, like that kind of thing. Well, how are we feeling, lads? I mean, White, you've been given back mortal flesh, and Angles, you're still looking as young as you did about 12 cycles ago, however many cycles that is.
It's a strange ability that I have.
We can worship the counterfeit sun I found. Use it to keep track of the time.
You know, you're the only one who's seen it, so you know, I don't know.
I don't even know if it's real anymore.
Yeah.
I could have hallucinated it whilst I was dragged into the darkness.
Yeah, I have to take your word for it.
Yeah.
But that answers a lot of questions, because that's a big advancement. They've made a counterfeit sun. How fucking like I know technology was advancing quickly when I was like before I got in here, but I didn't realize it was going that quick.
Yeah.
For all we know, however many eons could have passed while we were in this container. There was a cave experiment where they put people in a cave. I shit you not, I remember reading about this. They put these guys in this cave and they were like, okay, we're not going to do anything about time. You have artificial lighting, just live. And they started like living in 36-hour days and sleeping for like 12 hours. But they were certain, they were like, oh no, I'm up for like 8 hours and I sleep for 8. And it's like, no, No, you fucking don't. You are down for a lot longer than that, my friend.
Yeah.
It's the Terry A. Davis sleep schedule.
Look, I have to keep an eye out for those glow-in-the-dark...
No! I was actually going to say is that unironically I've had I did have a dream last night that was like such a vivid, long dream that I woke up this morning and genuinely thought it was Monday.
Powerful.
Yeah. I didn't realise, like it felt like it was like a dream I had lived through a couple of days of, so it was a really weird one. But...
I had a really weird dream a few days ago where fucking Soviet spies during the Cold War called like American CIA agents because they were like, "Hi, we're hiding underground in the New York subway. There's giant spiders down here and we need help." And it's literally like a not XCOM but like a CIA kind of like equivalent going down there and trying to like extract these Soviet spies who were like, "Guys, we give up. There's giant fucking spiders down here though. You need to deal with this."
And you were one of those spiders.
I was watching the whole experience from like a god's eye view. It was beautiful.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the funny thing with dreams. They always like change your perception, right? I remember one vivid dream I had where the dream was I was watching a documentary about Blade Runner, and then I just became a part of the world. Like it just transitioned. It was like film-like. Where it was just like, okay, zoom in, and now I'm in there. Like, oh god, what? Huh?
Transition straight into Blade Runner.
Yeah, I know.
Early 2000s video game camera where you start above the character and then you go into the back of their eyes.
Yeah, no. Unironically, it was like that.
Yeah.
It was like that, but it was a weird one where. The documentary, it was being like, okay, the whole world is fucked during the events of Blade Runner. However, there's one part of the world that's still green and lush and like lively, like it is in the modern world, and that's Wales.
Yeah, I would be surprised.
And for some reason, the dream involved me just living in Wales, running into this one guy who was living in like a rural shack, and him being like, "Yeah, no, I've got the last remnants of human civilization in my basement if you want to have a look." And I went, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." Like stuff before like the modern future. So like I went down. It's just his collection of horror DVDs, and I went, "This is all you have?" And he went, "Yeah, it's all I've got remaining of human civilization. It's just all these horror DVDs I've got." And then for some reason, I just started like vividly picturing like a weird Mad Max world. Dreams are fucking weird.
They are weird.
Yeah, we really want people to subscribe to Patreon for Thunder's eventual breakdown fund, where he's going to be hospitalized and will require several psychiatric procedures to go through. We really thank you for all of your donations.
Check out my videos on my channel at Dr. White. I make funny videos as opposed to these serious, down-to-earth ones this asshole makes.
Hey, listen, I'm still... is this our segue into outro?
Yeah, no, it is. It very much
You mean this wasn't already?
I guess it should be.
The slow, winding outro. Yeah, check out my videos somewhere. Good luck.
Okay, well listen. They run Wales.
The elves have run Wales for years.